Hello, welcome back to another episode of Xbox Infinite. Yes, that is true, Umbra. We get a couple of announcements before we jump in. Unfortunately, Jedi is not going to be able to make it to the show today. He's got a bit of a family emergency that he's dealing with. We definitely 100% wish him the best, and we can't wait to have him back. So hopefully it won't be long. So yeah, Jedi, our thoughts are definitely with you, mate. And another announcement: we've got Garuda back, stepping in for Jedi. How you doing, man? How's your week been? What are you up to?
Yeah, thanks for having me, brother. I always love coming in. I'll preface it by saying sorry about my voice. I'm a little under the weather, to say the least, but I'm going to make up for it with some
Good
stuff.
Some stuff.
Yeah, look, I've been laid out. I've been laid out sick all week. I've been off work. I've been using that time to good effect. I've watched 2/3 of the Lord of the Rings extended trilogy. I've been playing Grounded and Vampire Survivors, as I always do. I started Ghostwire Tokyo. Man, you know, when you're laid up sick, what else you gonna do, right? So yeah, having a great time. And yeah, thanks for having me again.
Yeah, thanks for stepping in, man. I understand that you are sick, so we do definitely appreciate it. Our special guest for this week. Been a while. We've been back and forthing for a little while, and we finally managed to get him on. Special Nick, fresh for breakfast. How you doing? How's your week been? What have you been up to? What have you been playing, mate?
Hey, g'day. Thanks for having me. Yeah. What have I been playing? I got this game. I got this ID at Xbox game. What the hell is it called? It's called Canon. It's an old Strider ripoff.
Okay.
And I can't remember the bloody name of it, and I need to now check what it is. But I think it's called Canon something. And it is all kinds of busted. Like, I started playing it, and after like 5 minutes, I got the achievement for unlocking all the achievements. I'm like, guys, I only unlocked like 2 achievements. How did I end up with all the achievements? Like, it's the most busted I've ever seen achievements on any game. Like, just play and do random stuff.
Cannon Dancer, I think, Nick.
Yes, Cannon Dancer. That's right. Cannon Dancer Osman. It's just a Strider ripoff, and I think it's from the maker of Strider.
Really?
And yeah, and I've just been doing random stuff in this game. I just play the game, and these achievements keep unlocking that are completely unrelated to anything I'm doing. Like, the only achievements that are working properly as they should are the level completion achievements. It is absolutely wild. I'm also playing, I think I'm allowed to say this. If I'm not, I'm going to get in big trouble from Jesse. I've been playing Strayed Lights.
Right, yeah, saw that. Yeah.
At the moment. I won't say anything else out of fear of saying something I'm not meant to say. But I've been playing Strayed Lights, which I'm reviewing. I need to get that done, I think, by like Anzac Day. Hopefully I can. So I want to watch the footy on Anzac Day, as most of you would know.
Yeah.
Flag Pies 2023. Get on it.
Yeah. There's nothing like watching your team go down horribly on Anzac Day. I understand.
Yeah, whatever.
Be upset. Words.
Be upset. See, what's happening right now to West Coast is karma for 2018. It's karma, mate.
Wow, you all hold grudges.
Yeah,
grudges. My goodness.
Oh yeah, Collingwood v Eagles is a huge grudge. We love it.
Yeah, it's actually a surprisingly big rivalry, strangely.
Mm-hmm.
It just sort of appeared. It's sort of bubbling under the surface, and I never really noticed it until I went back and had a look at all the results between us in finals, and I'm like, oh wow, these are all close games. Like, all of them going right back to 1990.
Yeah, 2018 was definitely the best.
yeah, it was great.
If you guys don't know what we're talking about AFL, which is Aussie rules football, real football, where you actually use your feet.
You use your feet to kick the ball on a frequent basis.
But you don't use your brain.
That's not true. That's actually not true either, mate.
No, it's not. I know that.
In the green room, Nick and the guys admitted that NFL was better. So I just want to point that out.
No, we definitely did not.
Absolutely not. No.
Huey was not there, so she doesn't know.
She was
All
listening.
right, because I already know the truth. I already know the truth.
Don't
Hold on.
listen to her,
Who
Chad.
We can all
you go
agree on
for,
one
Doom
thing.
Kitty?
Look,
We
well,
can all
let's.
Do you
agree
support
that real
AFL?
football, soccer, is called soccer.
That's true. Let's move on and introduce our other two panel members. Doom Cutie, welcome back. How's your week been? What have you been playing? Don't say World of Warcraft. And how's everything been?
Oh, thanks for having me. As always, it's always lovely to get together with the gang on a Saturday morning. I haven't been near my console for the last few days, but before then, I was playing Minecraft Legends. Lots and lots of fun. I do want to get onto playing it in a group setting. But currently I'm away from my home. I'm like at the beach. It's lovely. I'm having a little mini getaway.
Sabbatical. Good old sabbatical.
Yes, something like that. But yeah, definitely want to jump in a group and play that. But I can see that you've been playing at Riskit on the screen.
Oh, yeah. I played it for all of about 5 minutes. I gave it a 2 out of 10. No, that's not true. I'll get to that in a minute. Umbra Infinite, how you doing, man? Welcome back. Infinite Umbra, how's your week been? What have you been up to? How was your show? How did that go?
You know, it's been interesting, man. It went well. The first episode. First off, thank you, Nick, for joining us, brother, and Garuda, you as well for filling in.
Worries.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you all admitted that NFL was better in actual football. So as far as the show is interesting, man, because Colt, I had him come through for the first episode, and he saved it more or less because I did not have the mic settings for the guests to hear them. So 20 minutes of scrambling around was lost, and so we had to get that part situated. And I actually edited the video after the fact, so it's gone. Luckily,
Cheated.
All of that.
Yep.
Yeah, I cheated. Yeah, I'm American. What can I say? But yeah, it's actually been really good. The second episode we had Kay Asante as a guest. It was flowing, man. The one thing I'm liking a lot is that the conversations and such are flowing really nicely. So I want to keep that going, and I'm trying to keep it short. I want to keep it to an hour and a half, but it went to 2 hours.
Oh, I wish.
Yeah, but I'm trying to get it there. It's going to be a little bit of a struggle, but other than that, man, it's interesting. You know what I'm not liking, Risk, is trying to get together and a YouTube ad every week.
Mm-hmm.
That part I don't care for because when I get enough money set aside, I'm going to start having somebody professionally make them. I guarantee I'm not doing that anymore. After I get enough money, I'm going to start having somebody make it for me because that's the only thing I don't care for because I kind of suck at it. I'm being honest with you.
Not easy.
I look at mine. Yeah, it's not quite easy. I mean, and I have a little background in art. But it's just like, nah, man, look here. Somebody else.
What do you mean a YouTube ad?
He's talking about the thumbnail, I believe.
Yeah, thumbnail.
Oh,
yeah.
the thumbnail.
Oh, thumbnail.
Yeah, a little advert, I call it. But yeah, he's right.
What you just need a like a template, and you just change up the images.
Yeah, I do that.
That's
like
what I do for Xbox Era.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, see, but you all have kind of a static thing, though, Nick, right? You all have the Xbox Era. Yeah, see, that's what I need. I need to get me in a static thing. Then I can do it more easily. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get me a static.
Laziness. That's what I call it.
He may not.
Exactly.
Hopefully, I'm not speaking out of turn here, but if you reach out to Sean Labrie, he may be okay with just whipping you up a template
layout
for you to then use. Like, he can probably send you the Photoshop file, and then away you go, changing it as you need to.
I would love to get him to help me out, man, but I've reached out to him months back, and he still hasn't even looked at that DM because he's so busy with so many other things, unfortunately.
Maybe I can have a crack at it. I used to be a graphic designer.
Hey, if you want to help a brother out, I'm not going to be like, no, or no.
No.
Where the hell did this no thing come from?
I don't know, man.
From Australians?
No. It's no.
No.
Listen, it's no, but you all are like, no.
No. Yeah, look, we definitely don't say that. That's absolute rubbish.
Hold on. And if you're a bogan, it's nah.
Nah.
Listen, if you all in the chat here,
nah.
if you all hear
Nah.
the A and the R with their no, let us know. Because I hear it. It's like no.
Throwing tomatoes in the chat for Umbra. Look, we will move on to what have I been playing this week? I've actually been playing a little bit of Seafield, so I've got some footage of that. That is a great game, really, really difficult game. And I'm glad that the PlayStation Nation beta tested that for us, and it's in a great state. So that's always good to see. I love saying that because it's upsetting them. And Minecraft Legends. There's definitely some issues with the AI. But I don't know, if you're a serious RTS fan, I don't think it would be up your alley. But if you're not a real serious RTS fan, it's a good entry sort of spot. Someone called it a kiddie game. I wouldn't say it's a kiddie game. I would say it's just a good...
I think at first glance, it kind of is. But once you get deeper into the story... Yeah, the art style is very kid-like. But the story behind it, I think, is really meaningful.
Is it a story? They have a story like really
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
out?
They do have a story. It's pretty fleshed out. I mean, and every time you sort of move, into the next sort of level, you get cutscenes and the combat's like pretty cool. I mean, yes, the graphics aren't like up my alley. But the gameplay's pretty cool. The only problem is the AI is about as dumb as a post. So you got to continually go and drag.
Soldiers are dumb.
Yeah, you got to go and get your guys because they fell off a ledge. Then you have to go back and get them because they like got stuck on another ledge. Like it is annoying. If they fix that, I reckon the game would have been received a lot better. But it's not bad. It's not the AAA I think we've been hoping for. But it does run at 60 frames. And so that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Narrative.
Eat your heart out, Redfall.
Narrative dead. There's been a lot of discourse about this whole Redfall thing. And yeah, Umbra was just saying before we came in, someone did say they wanted to punch me in the face over Redfall. I don't know why. I didn't really read it. I just saw that and I thought threats of violence are always good. Means you're making an impact. So I'm glad I'm having an impact on the community. And I hope I don't have any impacts on my face.
I was going to say they're trying to make an impact too.
Look, we haven't got Nick's take on Redfall, and I'm just curious, like, where are you sitting with this?
Oh God, I covered this last week on our show, but from a purely personal perspective, I won't be bothering with Redfall while it's 30. I just don't play games at 30 if I have the option not to. And before everyone jumps in with the whole Zelda thing, Switch is an exception to the rule. The Switch being dog shit hardware, being unable to most games above 30 is a different story. Like I understand that there's no other option for Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
That's the choice I have. I've got to play it however it is. In the end, you're talking about Zelda. Not talking about Redfall. You're talking about like the Legend of Zelda here. So it's a little bit of a different story. I still think the reaction to all of this is a bit nuts. Like we've gone from Redfall being 30 over the last week to Xbox basically going out of business. Like it's been absolutely insane. Like the fact that me of all people, the fact that I have been one of the more positive people around Xbox is absolutely insane to me. In the end, okay, it's 30. If that bothers you, don't play it until it's 60.
Yeah, well, look,
the
that's
only thing.
Yeah, you're right. You go.
I was going to say the only thing that I think is a bit of a mistake on their part, not pushing for 60, is you're making this mistake or you're making this decision at a really bad time. Like they're sandwiched between Jedi Survivor and Zelda. And then by the time they probably get 60 out, Final Fantasies come out, Diablo's come out, and Street Fighter 6 has come out.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So from that perspective, it's like...
What did you call it?
There's a little bit of...
What'd you call it?
Diablo.
Diablo, yeah.
Diablo.
Yeah, Diablo.
I said Diablo at first, I know. Yes, I keep getting told Diablo.
We have been honing in on you saying it that way for a while now, Nick.
Yeah, I have. I even put up a poll and I think I tagged you in it. I was like, Mick, is that how you say it?
So I vaguely remember that. Yeah. That one I'm going to try and say properly, but I'm not stopping on Sega. Like anyone who grew up in Australia knows that's
Yeah, Sega. Yeah,
that's pronounced here, Sega.
Sega.
Sega themselves said it in ads. They
Did
called
they?
it Sega
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
Sega advertising
True
in
that
Australia, they pronounced it.
We all
can't
grew up
even-
saying Sega,
Yeah,
but
no,
why do we say Sega when the opening
It's
graphic on every single
Sega.
Sega game is Sega? Yeah, why
Yeah,
do we
well,
do that?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then why is it
You all just
spelled
wrote
with
that off, huh?
S? We just say it how it's spelled,
SE.
right? So like it doesn't say SA.
That's right. It's
Yeah.
SE. There's no little apostrophe
Apostrophe,
over the
yeah.
top of the E to make it A, like
Yeah.
cafe.
You know what? I never
So-
thought about that, but damn, you're right. It is spelled Sega.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
That's
it's
I guess
spelled
that's why
Sega.
we call it Sega. But
It's corporate brainwashing.
I don't know why. I still don't know why there's a long E sound on a single E. Myself.
that was
So really,
yeah.
well, really, it should be Sega.
Sega.
Yes,
Sega.
probably. You're
Yeah.
probably right.
Like leg. We don't say league.
Seg.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's right.
Seg leg.
Correct.
It's true. This is true. Damn
I
teachers.
just called it Sega because
Everyone
as a
did.
kid,
Sorry.
when it was advertised, they pronounced it Sega.
Yeah.
So that's just how I always knew it because the company themselves said it.
Yeah.
The
This is
Australian
why English is the
advertising,
hardest
though, or-
language.
It's
Yeah.
the Australian advertising. The Australian advertising.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
Fun
is
fact.
which
the
is really-
the Sega Master System outsold the NES in Australia.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
So-
true.
Do you know
I
why
loved it
though?
because it had
Sega
Alex
was-
the Kid built in.
Do you know why? I don't know if you remember why. I know why I got a Sega instead of
Why?
a Nintendo because the Sega was $50 cheaper than the Nintendo.
And it had
Yeah.
a game built
I
into it.
don't remember that. I don't remember back that far. We're talking about like 1988 for me, 1987. So I don't remember.
It was always
I wasn't
Sega
born.
for us.
You could
Oh,
literally
Oh,
turn the
I'm
console.
extremely old.
Oh,
Yeah, you're only in your 60s or something, isn't it?
Don't let these devilish good looks fool you. I am extremely old.
Don't let the Master Chief fool you. He says, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Don't let my appearance in the Halo TV show be thinking otherwise.
Yeah, that's weird. Actually, it is. He does look very. Hey, look, we do have to move on, jump into a topic, but you did mention it, and it was a topic that I haven't actually got in the list, but sort of popped off last night while I was on Mr. Boom show. Shout out to Mr. Boom. And we were talking about how exactly like you said, we've gone from 30 FPS on Redfall to the management aren't happy with Xbox, and they're not happy with Redfall. They're not happy with their first party cadence. This is like it blew up. He didn't say any of that stuff. Like if you actually watch the clip, he didn't really say that. He said they just weren't too happy with the performance of Hi-Fi Rush. But from there, it's hit Twitter and just blown up into Xbox is dead.
Talking about my man Jeff.
Yeah, in a matter of minutes. He didn't say half the stuff that I've seen online, which is pretty standard, I guess, for Twitter. But he did say they weren't happy with Hi-Fi Rush. Aaron Greenberg did follow up with a tweet, and I haven't pulled it up because I am unprepared. And just excuse me while I stumble. He said Hi-Fi Rush was a breakout hit for us and our players in all key measurements and expectations. We couldn't be happier with what the team at Tango Gameworks delivered with this surprise release. So I always kind of like this about Xbox is they don't obviously come out and crush every narrative, but it's good to see them coming out and going, no, we're pretty happy with how that went. So I guess it is a bit of a non-topic. Umbra, did you happen to see all this sort of going down? I know you did because you were linking it in the topics link there. I mean, can you? Look, this brings up a lot of questions. So it definitely brings up and we've got the right guy for the job in Garuda is the question of do Xbox players buy games? And we know that. I mean, I do personally. I know a lot of people that do, and we also know people that don't, like Garuda, who just plays Game Pass. So,
Look, I'm a Game Pass subscriber, so why wouldn't I use that to its full advantage and get my full value out of that service? I feel somewhat cheated these days when I go out and buy in Australia, as you know, a $120 game, and it is number one, broken, number two, not feature complete, and number three, it cost me almost 6 months of Game Pass Ultimate. Why shouldn't I wait and buy the game for less than half the price when all the features are complete, the bugs are ironed out, and save myself that money and have a better experience at the same time. Until developers start fixing these issues of releasing incomplete games, then I'm not going to go and buy a game day one. That's what Game Pass is for. They've changed the game for me and the way I consume games. And that's why I think, sorry, and I'll wrap this up quickly. That's why I think this whole hoo-ha about Hi-Fi Rush not meeting sales expectations, you really need to preface this whole thing with the fact that sales are no longer the metric when you're talking about a game that releases day one into Xbox Game Pass. Common sense would tell you that the game is not going to sell like it would if it wasn't in that service day one. People do not have to buy it, so they're not going to go and pay for that game. That you have to look at it from a player engagement metric, okay? And the gaming community colloquially was singing this game's praises, and that's what Game Pass is all about. You see, it has eliminated two things: wasting $100 day one buying a game. And also, it has eliminated Metacritic and review scores because you can just download the game and review it yourself. That's what Game Pass has done.
That you guys' price is that high over there. When you said 100, it made me flinch a little bit. Like, hey, how much?
$120 in some cases.
Yep. No,
Mm-hmm.
Lord. So the thing is, Garuda, ultimately you're correct, and we all agree. I don't think anybody disagrees with you. Now, you're a frugal brother. I can understand that. The problem is, though, you're dealing with trolls and ponies online, our Hooved brothers. So
Yeah, screw that.
they know that, but they're not going to acknowledge that. Instead, they're going to point out, well, it looks like it didn't meet sales expectations too. See, because of the quote that Jeff put out there, or at least that was put out from what Jeff said, and his statement was more innocuous, but when he said it, people were going to run with it and turn it a certain way. So when it was said and it was populated, of course, our Hoove brothers took that to say, see, there are still sales expectations, even if the game is in Game Pass. And, obviously they were claiming at least that management and team and, the higher ups weren't happy at Xbox. So all of that came to a front too, where so many people were being negative immediately. So it's always a constant narrative that has to be fought off for Xbox. Obviously, the 60 frames per second debacle with Redfall did not help because, again, with Microsoft, it tends to be that 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. So it's always a constant battle for Xbox to kind of get out of that negative spot. You know what I mean? So
Xbox is down at the moment. Sorry, but Xbox is down at the moment. So everybody's jumping on the bandwagon.
That's how it always is.
And it's trending, and that is how it always is.
Exactly.
Flogging Xbox while it's down, that's trending at the moment. So yes, it is. You're right.
So that's what that is. Now, what you said is actually obviously the factual correct answer, but it's always going to be a thing of, well, this supposedly negative thing was said. Oh, let's run with that. And a lot of this stuff is typically just centered around console warring. That's why we're hearing what we're hearing, and that's why so much has come out. Now, since that, like Riskit pointed out, and he read, Aaron Greenberg came out and corrected that pretty quick with that tweet. So he was like, nope, we're happy. We couldn't be happier with the success and sales, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought it was odd, too, because it's a small AA game. They couldn't have been like Square Enix expecting some gangbuster sales, especially on an unannounced, drop. Shadow drop.
What expectations can you have for a game that had no hype because no one knew it existed? And
exactly. So I'm pretty sure it exceeded all expectations at that point because there was nothing about it that people really knew. Most people didn't know the game even existed. You know what I mean? And I'm just gonna say this last part, and I'm gonna let you go ahead, Cutie. Tango now after that too had made a tweet, and it was like, "Hey, we're hiring. We're looking for 150. We have 150. We're looking for 30 plus new positions." So they're like, "Nah, we're good. We're good over here." But they did it in such a way to say, without addressing the thing at hand, by just saying we're looking for more people to bring in. So it was a classy way of basically dismissing that concern too, which I thought was kind of funny. But go ahead, Kid. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I think one thing that I'm probably a little bit unsure about is when I hear this kind of thing, it's like, well, what is the context of their success? You know what I mean? Like, was their goal simply financial, or was it not? So yeah, so it's like from the point of view of gamers, a gamer's success when it's both popular, so high sales, and then it's well received with high ratings. And if a game only meets one of those, the type of success is usually used. Calling a game a financial success usually implies that it made money, but perhaps didn't get high ratings, and critical success means it got high ratings but didn't really sell much. So reading this was really confusing for me. And the fact that, Tango has just gone out and been like, you know what, we're hiring, we're confident in our games, and we want to make more, I think is it's a symbol of positivity, and that they'll continue to be successful. But I think, Garuda, you're correct in saying that the metric needs to change, especially with people relying on subscription-based, gaming. It's going to be the number of hours played, on average per player, or whatever. It's not going to be how many did it sell. And personally, I think it would make things a lot simple if games were only on Game Pass and you couldn't purchase them. Like, for me, like, if I was looking at metrics, I'd want to see the game only be in one field or another, simply because
the way that we combine those metrics, and I think Garuda was alluding to, is that you use player engagement. So that gives you every player count, if you like. So that gives you every metric. That gives you the who's bought the game, and it gives you who's playing the game off Game Pass. And that is the measurement I thought that everyone was on top of with Xbox, and you use...
Yeah, but it doesn't suit the narrative at the moment, Riskit, you see. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. There's so much negativity surrounding Xbox. Yeah, that's right. It doesn't get clicks. There's so much negativity around Xbox at the moment. And would you but for
Jeff Grubb
to... question to everyone.
For Jeff Grubb to say what he said, he should be well across... that's the metric that you sort of use. I mean, you use PlayStation sales only because that gives you the engagement. That's how many people bought it. It's not necessarily how many people are playing it, but that's its metric of success is sales, right? But when you're talking about Game Pass, we're talking about player engagement. And the reason that they're making these games isn't, I genuinely believed, I'm sure they would like to sell some, but I genuinely believe to fill that service with content. Netflix don't make The Witcher to sell it at JB Hi-Fi. They make The Witcher so that you have a reason to subscribe to Netflix. It drives engagement. It drives subscriptions.
And that's what I think Doomy was sort of getting at as well. It'd be a lot easier to sort of delineate these sales if, of course, it wasn't available as a standalone purchase and it was only in the subscription service, but it's not. So yeah, you've got to weigh things up accordingly, so...
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely do. And Nick, I mean, I wanted to go to you and just get your thoughts. I thought it was a bit of a weird take from Jeff, and I don't think it was him that sort of said it initially. Just remembering the comments, but it sort of started with the other bloke, and then moved to him, that the management wasn't happy with the way things were going sales wise. Bit of a weird take, I think, from Grubb, because Grubb's usually all across it.
But you got to remember, it's not necessarily Jeff's take. It's what he's heard, I guess, from his sources within Microsoft. And all I'll say on that is sometimes, without knowing sources level within Microsoft, it's not like Jeff would be lying. Jeff would be repeating what he's heard, just like I repeat what I've heard, or Jez repeats what he's heard. If that source is getting that info, who knows? I would be very surprised if Microsoft care all that much about unit sales of their games. Otherwise, what's the point of Game Pass? One question for all of you that sort of relates to this topic. How many of you bought the Hi-Fi Rush little deluxe upgrade add-on?
I did.
Didn't even know it existed, Nick, personally.
Yeah.
I did. It was like $12-13.
I had
what
no
do you
idea.
Get with that, Nick?
I had no idea.
You get some DLC, some skins and stuff like that, I think, off the top of my head. But I saw it there day one. It was there next to the game on the store, and it was like $15, $12, something like that. So I just bought it. So to me, that's the sort of thing Microsoft should be pushing more of their Game Pass games, and I would think that be their way of making that extra upfront money. Because,
Mm.
and again, Microsoft is a data analytics company. And my guess is they would have a way of measuring whether a game might affect subs, whether it increases subs or not. I'd be more curious as to whether Hi-Fi Rush contributed towards subs. Again, I don't know if there is a way to measure that. I assume Microsoft would have it. I'd be surprised if they didn't. To me, that would be a more accurate measure of Hi-Fi Rush did. Like, did everyone get caught up in the Hi-Fi Rush hype and all of a sudden want to sub to Game Pass? Or was it just basically the existing people trying it out? Maybe a handful of them, like myself and Umbra, buying the Deluxe
DLC.
upgrade.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
but
know. Do you
but you-
think?
I don't know.
Would you also
Do you think-
argue though that even if it wasn't for necessarily sub games, which it might have been, like you said, we don't know, right? There's no tangible way we can point to it. But would you all kind of agree then, still, at that point, there was a lot of negativity for Xbox because they didn't appear at the VGAs. That showcase and that shadow drop absolutely turned a lot of negativity around for Microsoft right there. So would you all agree that even if it wasn't for subs, that created a much more positive aura around Microsoft at that point?
Yeah, I think it absolutely did. And I think they had to do that. But just I hate to jump back off the question. I'll throw that question over to Cutie in a minute. But with that measurement of the metric, and we were talking about this earlier in the week, I believe. I think it was with Red Dead about subscription fatigue, and then the things that we do to sort of manage our subscriptions. One of them that I do is if there's a show, say on Stan, which is a service in Australia, or on Binge, there's not a whole lot that there's a lot of crossover with those subscriptions into other subscriptions. So if there's something specific on Binge that I want to watch, then I will subscribe. And then once I've finished watching that series, I'll unsubscribe. Now, that may happen with Game Pass and Hi-Fi Rush. So measuring that metric, you would have to do it over a short and incremental time. You know, you'd have to do your drop the game, what it was before, obviously, what it was when you dropped the game, you know, then a month, then 2 months, then 3 months to sort of follow up and see what sort of effect dropping content like that into the service would do. That'd be a very difficult thing to measure. But sorry, back to Umbra's question. Cutie, do you think that it boosted the positivity around Xbox? I think it had to, and I think it's something because it was so successful. I believed it was successful. Just it was really odd for me to hear this, so I was glad when Aaron Greenberg came out and then Tango followed it up. I believed it was so successful that it was very likely that they would do this again. Do you think they'll do it again?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's. I mean, I enjoy surprises, don't you guys? I mean, you know, if they
Hell
can. Yeah, I would love that. In
Depends on the
future,
surprise,
for sure.
in fairness.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Yeah.
Like, look, I think regardless, like people will see more value in Game Pass, knowing that you know there might be something new, you know, brought to it. You know, something really cool, something interesting. But Nick, I can't help but wonder if they go down this route of putting games in Game Pass, we receive the games, but then they add DLC, you know, constantly. Am I going to get DLC fatigue then? Like, because I love this game. I want to get the extra stuff. Like, I can still play the game, but then like all my friends, you know, maybe they have more money than I do and they can afford to, you know, get all these other DLCs all the time. Like, I don't know how I feel about that.
But
It's
the
funny,
DLC
you know,
is
like
already there though. Like,
Yeah, I know, but I
even-
feel like it's more of an option. Like, I don't think it's as common at the moment.
I reckon.
I think it's because yeah, like Garuda said, I don't even know it existed. But I didn't
Exactly.
yeah, I didn't know that. But like Nick was just saying, sorry, just quickly, like Nick said before, about, you know, it would be interesting to see who sort of did purchase this add-on pack for Hi-Fi Rush. That is one thing I do buy, and everyone does give me a bit of crap because I don't buy games and whatever. You know, I am a frugal gamer, and admittedly, but what I do because of Game Pass is what Nick said. I do buy add-on content for games that I like, which I otherwise would not have purchased because I've saved money up front because I haven't purchased the game. Like I bought all the DLCs for the Outer Worlds because I love the game on Game Pass. So I went and bought both DLCs, which cost like $30 or $40. I've bought everything, and I know it doesn't cost much, but for Vampire Survivors, these kind of things, I engage more after the fact with these Game Pass games, and I'm happy to open my wallet because I haven't spent the money up front.
I would be interested to like sort of sit down and crunch the math on that. Did you spend more back in the day when you were buying full price games as opposed to what you're spending on DLCs? That'd be an interesting, not specifically you,
Exactly.
but the industry as a
What's
whole.
the point of putting it on Game Pass? What's the point of putting it on Game Pass, right? If you're just going to spend the exact same amount of money by buying the game.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I know what you're saying, but I wouldn't. I personally would never usually buy DLC, or I didn't spend much money on sort of microtransactions or anything like that in games. It was just a rule. If I've bought a game, I expect it to come feature complete, right? But if I haven't paid for that game,
Battlefield,
yeah, stuff like that, yeah, But yeah, that's right though. Like if I'm paying full price for a game, you give me a full game, right? But if I'm not paying full price and it's coming on Game Pass day one into the service, okay, just show me what you've got. I'll open my wallet.
Oh,
Yeah,
see,
but
I
the
think
thing
that
is-
speaks. Okay.
Sorry, Nick, you go.
No, Nick, you go.
Sure. Okay. I was going to say, I think that speaks to an even deeper discussion, though, on what constitutes a full game. Like, I know many years ago when DLC started to become more prevalent, people started arguing that developers are intentionally holding back bits of the game to then sell it as DLC. And I think a lot of those people forget just how small and short games were in the early days. Mostly, I mean, a lot of that was driven from the fact that most console games were still arcade ports. And arcade games were designed to get, arcade games are the original microtransactions. Those games were built literally to take money out of you every, 20 minutes, half an hour, an hour. So I feel like people sort of exaggerate a little bit in terms of how much we get in that base game. Like I still think, even games with a lot of DLC, I still think the base game is a lot more these days than they have been in the past. Even if they, I don't know. I mean, then again, I'm a weirdo. I'm one of those people that's always liked DLC, and the perspective I always had was they're letting me give them a little bit of money, add more to this game that I love.
Yeah.
Keep playing it.
Yes, but how do you know that it's
actually?
Yeah, but what I'm wondering is if this is going to be a trend moving forward, do you think people will hold back on the full game and then just be like, oh no, we can make extra money by...
Oh, we've already.
You know what I mean?
That's already been a. Yeah,
yes, Jimmy, because I do that now. That's why I don't buy games, because they come out in 6 months with all the DLC, all the bugs fixed for half the price. And if as long as you don't cave into FOMO, you're just a winner immediately.
No, but FOMO.
Yeah,
Although I will say, I don't know if like GameStop or whatever in America do this, but EB Games, you've got 7 days. You can return a game, even if it's you've played it and there's nothing wrong with it. You can change your mind in 7 days.
Yeah, well, you can do that. You can do that digitally with Microsoft. They're actually pretty good with their return policy. Not PlayStation. As soon as you turn the damn thing on, see you later.
Hell no.
No, it's ruined.
It is a good point, Nick. But I think, Nick, you have to go with the metrics of what we measure games by now. I don't think you can look to the past, and gamers have driven expectation. Really, we're the most, as a community, and I mean no offense to anyone in the chat or in the panel or the guest, but we're a bunch of bitchy, whiny little,
entitled.
Yeah, entitled. Yeah, that's what we are, and so it drives that. We want more. We want more. We want more, and we're never happy. So look, and I completely. You're absolutely right. Back in the day, games were a lot smaller. They're also a shitload harder too, and a little bit less accessible.
Oh yeah.
So that's a very nuanced conversation of what constitutes a feature complete game. I would say this, and especially Redfall brings this to the fore, and Starfield, and just the Xbox's marketing. I would say, what's promised should be expected. and beyond that, whatever you get sort of gravy. So, when you're making trailers at 60 FPS, when you're making promises of time frames, if it's promised, it should be expected. And I really
With
think
that in mind, that's where Xbox deserves, they're getting a lot of unfair criticism in the last week or so, or the last 2 weeks. But if we're going off what you just said there, Riskit, if what's promised should be expected, then that's where Xbox does deserve the smoke, because they have failed with some of their promises, unfortunately. And that's why everybody's just got piled on them, It sucks.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, they are well aware of their optics. And if they're not, they bloody well should be. So being well aware of their optics, they should know that anything that they misstep on is going to become exponential. And it always does. It's amazing. Like, I posted a tweet just sort of rebutting some of these Xbox guys that are saying we should get rid of the management. And I'm like, have you seen what this guy's done for Xbox in the space of, from 2014 to now? Xbox was about to die. It was on his deathbed. He's brought it back to life. He's hit I mean, it's not selling as much as PlayStation, but if you compare it to itself, it is doing extremely well, especially compared to the Xbox One. So he's done great things for the brand, but the negativity I got responding in that tweet, that was the tweet, Umbra, by the way, where someone said they wanted to punch me. All for saying that I think the guy's done a good job. I really do think he's done a good job. No one's perfect, no company's perfect, and they all make missteps. Yeah, I mean, we did have a very long conversation. But they should also know.
He hasn't simply done a good job. He's a legend. The legend.
Yeah, and they should also know as a brand, when you talk, Aaron Greenberg, and I love the guy. Aaron's an absolute champion of a bloke. He really, really is. But Matt Booty, he doesn't say much, but that's why he doesn't get the smoke. And Aaron normally gets it, or Phil gets it. But they probably should be a little bit more careful with the marketing speak, I think, and that's where most of the issues come in Xbox. And again, as I say, what's promised should be expected. If you're not going to deliver, don't promise. We probably should. Sorry, Nick, go.
I was just going to say, this speaks to something we were talking about on our show a couple of weeks ago. We say it a lot, that Microsoft needs to get a little better at understanding where they sit in the market, or what their perception is in the market. Like, whether Microsoft likes it or not, this is a thing that goes back 20, 30 years. Because Microsoft is the new guy that came in 20 years ago, and they're also Microsoft, big bad evil Microsoft, they're always going to be seen as the bad guy in gaming. Until someone new comes along, Microsoft are always going to be seen as the bad guy in gaming. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's fair or unfair. It just is what it is. Sooner they understand that and shift their thinking on how they market and the decisions they make, come from a place where they understand that they're the bad guy, the better they'll do.
But do you think they can shake that stigma, being the fact that they're oftentimes the richest company in the world? So regardless of if they're first, last, or they're the newcomer or what into the gaming console industry, can they shake that tag, being that they are the top dog as far as their bankroll is concerned?
Well, I'll say the same thing I've said 100 times in the past. The only way Microsoft can change things in any real way is with big moves. And I understand ABK is one of those big moves, although I think even on ABK, there's sort of caveats on that. Like, the irony of all this is Xbox is dead this week, but in a couple of weeks' time, if and when ABK goes through, they're going to be a monopoly again. Like, that's the stupidity of all this, and what makes it exhausting to try and talk to people on Twitter or whatever the case may be. Not many people are very consistent in their position on these things. So a lot of the same people that are jumping on board now on Twitter saying that Microsoft's dead. They should give up on consoles. They don't make any games. After ABK goes through, Microsoft's going to have a monopoly all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm. And, Game Pass doesn't make money. They haven't released anything this year. And literally I had this in a thread. They haven't released anything this year. Argument. The Hi-Fi Rush stuff broke. And then he came at me with the Hi-Fi Rush stuff. I'm like, well, why are we talking about this? Apparently this didn't get released this year.
Yeah, and that's the issue. Like the only way I think Microsoft can genuinely shift the mindshare issue they have is with big moves. And I know ABK in and of itself is a big move, but to me, in my mind, it would have been if they bought ABK and locked it all down. I know they've said they're not going to do that. I understand that. If they bought ABK and locked it all down, all of it, Call of Duty, Crash, Spyro, Diablo, just all of it, the whole lot. That's a big move. That's how you shift, because you've essentially given people no choice but to shift their mindset. You know what I mean? I know they're not going to do it. I understand that. They're the sort of moves that completely and utterly shift that thinking.
It's interesting you say that though, Nick, because one of the things that have populated the talk from Xbox fans is that Phil, and the team were being way too nice, Mr. Nice Guy, right? Like that's one of the talking points.
I agree.
So one of the things outside of even making that exclusive, I think Microsoft has to do, and it goes to your point, and you're right. Microsoft is going to be the way they present it because people don't like Microsoft. It's nothing they can do about it. So embrace that, be fine with it, and dominate. And that's where I agree with you 100%. Even if it's not a matter of making those things exclusive, fully embrace that you are the bad guy in most people's eyes and keep it moving. And then give your base what they need. That's the thing I think they need to do. Win us over like you did during the 360 era.
Agree.
Well, hell, win us over how you did with the announcement of this era, this gen, 9th gen. When they came out swinging. Nowadays, it kind of feels like they're on their back foot. That's what I need them to correct.
Microsoft are basically doing in their space what a lot of Xbox content creators are doing, which are trying to look neutral so that they don't get called shills and fanboys and all that sort of stuff, which, as I said last week, is such a bizarre expectation that Xbox content creators have on them. PlayStation and Nintendo content creators don't. It's this very weird phenomenon that I've seen where we all have to appear neutral, otherwise we're fanboys. We've got to keep it real, quote unquote. And I don't know, I find it odd. Like you said, Umbra, Microsoft are the bad guys whether they like it or not. So work within the rules. So you're the new guy, work within the rules that have been set for you.
Yeah, I don't think they're ever going to be perceived as the nice guy or the good guy or the people's favorite or the gamer's favorite. They're never going to be. You guys are both right on that. And they've got the biggest bankroll. They've got the biggest bank account. So they're always going to be the bad guy in many people's eyes. It's just, yep, exactly. And they are trying to use that with this ABK purchase, but they're only sort of pandering and trying to put across this pushover nice guy, we're the good guys sort of attitude to try and get the deal through. I think they're going to change a little bit once it goes through.
I hope they do.
Just a little bit.
They become pricks.
They will.
Look, look, on a business level, yes, Microsoft do come across as the bad guys. However, I will say, for example, the Xbox Ambassador program, it's fantastic. The community of gamers within Xbox, incredible people. I can tell you right now, the kind of community that's in Xbox is not the same in any other platform whatsoever. And I think really the gamers speak for a platform more than the business. They have their own agendas, and we do it because we love it. So and genuinely we have the knowledge and content creators and things like that. I know some only PlayStation content creators, and it's paid partnerships. It's and they don't get Nick's right. They don't get the amount of backlash that Xbox do at times. But I tell you right now, I know in my heart of hearts that this community is the best community.
Oh, 100%. And I think a lot of the backlash against Xbox, and not, I'm not talking about from the ponies, and let's just call them that because they've earned the title this week. But I think from the Xbox guys, and there's a bit of infighting going on in the community and stuff like that, but it's all coming from a place of love for the Xbox brand. I think that's what it is, you know. It really is like, clearly the community is passionate that Xbox has one hand on the prize. They're almost taking that next step where they need to be, and it just feels like they're taking a step back. But a lot of this negative discourse and this sort of infighting and stuff, it comes from a place of love because the community is so passionate about the brand.
Not when I
That's
do
all
it.
is.
I do it from a complete place of hate. But look, I will say
not.
there's a quote that I keep going back to. It's an absolutely banger of a quote, and Mr. K. Asante is the man who said it first. He said Microsoft has a history and a penchant for snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. And that is absolutely true. It seems that every time, they've dropped Hi-Fi Rush, didn't follow it up. Then they followed it up with Redfall at 30 FPS. They've 12 months. It's all coming. Didn't follow it up. That's just something that they really need to change. But when it comes to success metrics, when you actually look at facts and figures, not how you feel, Xbox is in a much better position from 10 years ago. So, when it comes to the infighting and people getting a lot of their feelings about 30 FPS, like realistically, like even the Starfield thing, I fought back on some of the bigger content creators in the community because they were coming at me about it. It's a misstep and it should be called out, but it should be called out, moved on. But it should be called out 110%. And I think if we just continue to call it out, they'll just continue doing what they've been doing the entire time and not listening and keep making mistakes. Anyway, we'll move to the next topic.
No, I agree with you there, though. I agree. That's why my thing is they take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. And it's like they're right there. And we all know it. Like they're right there, but it's like they kind of get in their way a little bit sometimes.
Yep. They can't get out of their own way.
I don't know what that all is.
Yeah. They can't. They don't see the
We've been
forest.
talking about it for years.
Yeah. And marketing. I mean, you could go in.
Always been.
You could go into marketing. You could go just so much. And you know what it does very much seem like, and I really do think I have the solution. And Phil, if you're out there, I'm looking for a job right now. No, I'm kidding. But I think that what they need to do is, and this is usually never a solution that I would suggest, being a shop floor guy, right? I've worked in manual labor my whole life. I've worked in usually at the top of the shop floor in a supervisory position, but not in a management role. So, and I have a disdain for management. But I do think that they need to inject some middle management in between Phil, Matt Booty, Sarah Bond, even Greenberg. Give these guys teams, management teams.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Where they're direct.
I want to hear his thoughts on that.
Well, I do. Just give me 2 more seconds. Well, their direct focus should be communication between the teams and the studios. So feeding back
This
information.
job isn't getting smaller. This job is not getting smaller. That's
Hold
the
on,
thing.
Garud. I want to hear Nick on this because I agree with Riskit there. Riskit, I agree with you 100%.
I think I understand the sentiment you're going for there completely 100%. I understand the sentiment. You're talking about Microsoft. That is the last company on earth you want to start adding extra layers of management to, and they already have a problem with bureaucratic red tape and other crap. I mean, other gigantic companies have too. But, I mean, don't you remember those Microsoft memes where all the different divisions of Microsoft were pointing guns at each other? Because they don't work together properly and they're all so separated, and where Apple...
Yeah, but that's an old Microsoft. That's how they're seen.
But it's still there. There's still a lot of it there in Microsoft now. Trust me, there's still a lot of it there in Microsoft now. The last thing you want to be doing is adding extra layers of management within Microsoft. That is the last thing you want to do.
Well, let me ask you this then, Nick. If that's your argument, what then do you think about Matt Booty? Do you think he's been doing a great job? Do you think it's something he needs to change? What change would you bring? Because to me, it seems to be the case that Matt might be head over, like a little, underwater here. Like it's much going on that he can't all be accounted for. What would you think about that?
Let me just, before Nick goes, let me just say this. We do need to correct that, because in Australia we say bouteille. So Matt Bouteille.
We do.
Hey, Matt Bouteille.
Okay, I'm gonna risk getting in trouble here. So
Uh-oh.
there's a problem within the Xbox community where people are always, generally I find, people are scared to say that someone's just maybe not that great at their job, or maybe they're just not the right person. Like, everyone was really terrified to say anything about the management at 343, even though there was clearly a problem at the top of 343.
Yeah.
Everyone was too scared.
Mhm.
Now that all those people,
Hang on a minute.
people are gone, it's like,
Just
No,
quickly.
I don't think we were.
I don't think we were. We weren't scared at all. I just wanted to throw it out there. But do you mean Xbox community? You mean the company itself, or you mean the people?
I'm saying the Xbox community in general. I said a lot of people were too scared. I'm not saying everyone was too scared. I just noticed that a lot of people were too scared to say that there were problems at the top of 343. I'm talking about naming names, though. I'm talking about naming names.
Yeah, some
Now
were.
that
Absolutely, we did, but there were some in the community that were like, I don't want to say it's management. No, we thought it was immediately. We knew exactly what it was. And you did
I
too.
knew it was too.
And you do, yeah, you did too. I saw you guys talk on it.
But now that they're all gone, everyone's like, "Oh, it's so good they're gone." There's and that's a problem at all levels. Like, the problem is because everyone likes to go to extremes on the internet. So if someone, let's just say I turned around now and said, "Look, I'm sure Matt Booty's a great guy. I just don't think that he might be necessarily the right person to be leading Xbox Studios." If I was to say something like that, the internet would take that and say, "Oh my God, you're calling Matt Booty the worst, blah, 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 blah."
So true.
That's another part of the reason people might be a little bit gun shy about saying what they really think. Me personally, I don't know if Matt Booty's the right person. If his job is to manage the first party studios, and the only real measure you have of that is these first party studios actually getting good games out, I don't know. Is he doing a good job? I guess most would say probably not.
Yeah, but then this is the thing. This is why I mean, and I was the very, very, very vocal about 343 and exactly who I thought was the problem. And I look at whether I was right or I was wrong. Doesn't matter. I think integrity is important if you're a content creator, because the media seems to lack it these days. But when it comes to Matt Booty, I don't think the job's being done right. But then I look at the reasons as to why that might be happening. Now, if you've got to sort of look at the growth from 2018 until now, his job is 10 times bigger than it was. He's got Pete Hines as well, and I don't think Pete Hines copped enough smoke for this whole Redfall thing. So, and that to me,
the funny thing, I mentioned Pete last week. I was like, why isn't anyone giving Pete shit? He looks over Bethesda. Arcane is a Bethesda studio, and Microsoft said that we're going to leave Bethesda to do their own thing. So why are Xbox and Phil copying it for Redfall being 30 frames?
Well, that's the problem, though, isn't it? That is the problem, is that they keep leaving these studios to do their own thing and they're not delivering. And so that says to me the communication isn't there, for one. And for two, the direction isn't there, which is obviously still communication. So I don't think, I mean, look, we speculated about 343 and we were right. And when I'm speculating about this, I truly believe I'm right. I think the communication is just completely broken down. Maybe because there's too many layers to get through. Maybe because there's a lot of that competitive stuff going on, and no one wants to say, "Hey, we're having trouble here." Where's the hit team? I mean, we talk about that hit team for Xbox that was supposed to go out and show people, how to use these, tools, but how to optimize their game. Where are they? But is the reason that they're not getting these hit teams out because they're not communicating back that, hey, we're having some trouble, until it's too late? And I just think that the hands-off approach can be the right approach, but not for every studio. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I've always thought they were too hands-off. I've always since this new leaf has been turned, I've always felt that because the problem is that they had such a reputation for meddling such a long time. They had such a
Yeah.
reputation
Now
for
they're gun
meddling.
shy.
They've now gone in the opposite direction,
Mhm.
and they seem, at least on the surface to us, because again, ultimately, this is all speculation. This is all our opinions. This is all what
Mhm.
we think based on what we see. None of us have any idea what's actually happening. For all we know, maybe they're still meddling. I don't know. But on the surface, it does look like they're a little bit too hands off now. They've gone in the
Wait,
other direction. At least
wait.
that's how it
I
looks.
think that a couple of and some guys or you guys might know, or a few in the chat might know, but I believe a couple of the first party Xbox game studios teams have said as much, that they were surprised when they came under the umbrella how hands off they actually were. I can't recall exactly who that was, but I believe it was one or two different studios have said as much. And I don't know if they said that in a negative effect or not, but it has been
I
mentioned.
believe it was a positive. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it would be, but they were more surprised how hands off they were, and how much of a free reign they were given. Whether or not that's a good thing or not, that's to be seen. Just quickly on Matt Booty, I'm not sure how to perceive his role at the moment, and how good of a job he's doing, because I do recall in a rather recent interview that he was quite frustrated at not being able to show and talk about some of the things that the teams are doing. So I'm not sure if his hands are tied, or he's been told to give these teams a lot more freedom, a lot more space, or how much he's actually allowed to do. Because specifically Fable, if you recall an interview with Matt Booty, he said Fable was looking absolutely fantastic, and he begged them to let him show the public just how good this game's coming along. And he was quite frustrated that he couldn't say or do too much about these upcoming games. So I don't know what
that's an
sort of
interesting point, and I remember that because I brought it up before, and
Yeah.
it said,
Yeah.
do you think Sony would be doing that? Like if they hadn't had shown anything, I guess, from first party like that in a while, and then we hadn't seen any concept of proof, I suppose, like we were having with Fable yet. And if the guy overseeing their studios came and said, "Hey, we need to see a splice, like some type
Yeah.
of splice, something," do you think Sony would
He
accept
said it's
that?
looking No, they wouldn't. He said it's looking fantastic. He said people are going to love the way this looks, and they were like, "No way, no way," And I think he alluded that it was a number of other games that were in the same position. So, I mean, I'm not sure if we can be too critical on Booty, because I think his hands are tied to a certain extent, if that interview was anything to go by.
Yeah, but I have another issue with that kind of stuff, which is I don't know. This is going to sound so rude. I don't know how much I trust their judgment on stuff like that. We
Yeah,
are
true.
talking about the same group that deemed the Halo 2020 demo
I knew that was coming. That was
worthy of public consumption as well. Like, I,
Mm.
the one thing I've learned about Microsoft through just personal observation, people I've spoken to, and I don't think this would be a surprise to anyone. Microsoft's always been known as the Windows/Office company. They're not a creative company. Like Nintendo is all about creative because all they do is games. Sony is creative because all they do is entertainment. In the end, Sony as a whole is an entertainment company. Like, everything they do is based in entertainment. What do they make? TVs. They've got film studios, TV studios, games,
Speakers.
cameras, which cameras and lenses, which are for taking
Phones.
photos and recording video.
Mhm.
Everything is centered pretty much around entertainment. So they are a creative company. Microsoft is not. So I'm just, yeah. When I hear people from within Microsoft go, "Oh my God, this looks amazing," I just sort of reserve a little bit of judgment on that one. Just because of where it comes from. Again, I don't mean any offense to anyone. That's just what I've observed. Where, not that we ever really hear any. I mean, from Nintendo, we don't hear jack shit anyway. Even from PlayStation, I find you don't hear. Then PlayStation don't really interact on social media
At all.
anyway. Like
No,
Shu, I feel like
just
Shu.
to advertise, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Shu is the only one that's really out there on Twitter and on social media, like interacting and enjoying and being super positive. And like, I feel like he's pretty much the only one. So you don't really hear as much from PlayStation, someone from within PlayStation going, oh my God, this game I've just looked at is unbelievable. You seem to hear that a lot of Xbox people, whether it's the devs, whether it's the marketing people, whether it's Phil himself, whether it's
Well, they've got more to prove,
know.
Nick. That's why, Xbox has way more to prove in the first party game delivery sort of situation. So
Yeah,
they
I
have
know,
to
I
be a little
just-
bit more,
It's money where your mouth is,
Yeah.
though. That's the thing with
It
Xbox,
is.
and they really need to start putting their money where their mouth is, and start cashing the checks with their ass that they're writing with their mouths. Like, and like like I said, I bleed
I don't
green.
think
I
you can
love
cash
I-
checks with your ass.
You definitely
I don't
can. I've
think
done
you
it.
can. Oh, okay.
People don't appreciate it,
It's
but
must be an Australian thing, I guess.
no, I just
Hi,
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
cash this check, Mike?
I'm
Where's the check?
I'm also
It's
my ass
ambidextrous.
cheeks.
definitely not.
You know,
Talented man.
butt
Talented.
cheeks
Yep,
as well.
left
Yeah.
cheek, right cheek.
Yeah.
Mm.
He's twerking to the counter with the check.
Yeah, look, I do want to move on because we have been on this topic for quite some time. I thought I heard Cutie snoring in the background there. But before I do, guys, please hit the like button and subscribe if you are new here, even if you're that pony in the chat, just attacking Xbox nonstop. Love it.
Hey, Riskit, just so you know, I am in a hotel room at the moment. I'm not at my house, so I may or may not be podcasting from a bed right now. There's no desk.
Okay. If anyone writes anything about what she's wearing in the chat, you will be deleted.
Don't worry about that.
For
I'm
goodness
fucking right now.
sake. I'm just saying I'm so
It's too late.
dedicated to this podcast. I am going
Sleep
all out
podcasting.
on commitment.
You're going all out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
She's cashing the checks. Look, so we'll move on to the next topic, and I know that Nick is going to love this one. I know he's extremely excited. He has followed closely the FTC, the CMA, and the ABK deal. So we, of course, had to talk about this. Now, I did literally sit down. I didn't sit down. I was doing stuff while I was listening, but I was listening to that entire 3-hour fucking grilling that Lina Kahn copped. And I talked about it like ad nauseum like last night on Boom Show. Like I talked, but it was an absolute grilling. Some of the things that
she got grilled hard.
yeah, some of the things that I pulled out there was that the Congress is now more onto this than they ever have been before, and I think that is only a positive thing. They're now looking at the video game industry. They're now looking at what they're doing, and they're looking at it regionally as well, which is a very American thing to do. So good on them. But I mean, one of the senators said, "Why are you trying to block this ABK deal when this will literally open the door for China? This will open the door for our competitors to come into the market and start leading the market, which is not what they want. And it is an American company, so I've always found it odd that she's one-sided with the market leader, sided with a company that's not American, and then really hasn't, seemingly, this is just seemingly, really hasn't done any sort of metric research to back up the narratives that she's trying to push, which are PlayStation narratives, like crazily. So I found it really interesting. There was a lot that I got out of it, also in processes, and also some of the good things. I will say this. Some of the good things that the FTC has done for the American people of late are really good things. Now, she was there asking for a budget increase. And I honestly believe that they definitely, looking at the figures as compared to the CMA, even compared to the EU regulators, they are chronically understaffed. However, I would say to Lina Kahn, how about, because you are chronically understaffed, instead of going after 11 cases, soon to be 12, that are seemingly doomed within the courts because they are within the law, instead of taking that workload and placing it on your understaffed workforce, why don't you go after the cases that are definitely litigatable? Because at the moment she's a losing horse. And horse, I said horse. Now, Nick, what did you? I'm just interested to see what you guys pulled out of this because it's 3 hours of her just getting absolutely grilled And I got
Yeah, I was about to say I didn't watch all of it. I just saw snippets that were being posted on Twitter here and there. But my thing is, like, surely there's some kind of framework or template that someone like Lina would be able to work off. Like, there's some pretty simple, like the fact that there was some governor or something from Tennessee who wouldn't even know what a video game is that came out and was like, "But aren't Sony the market leader? Why are you supporting them?" Like, I'm like, oh my god, how is it that this politician or whatever that doesn't even know what the hell a video game is can see something so obvious that Lina can't? Just, I find stuff like that bizarre. Like, there must be, and again, this is me not knowing how any of this stuff works, but there must be some kind of basic checklist. So, okay, the company that's opposing this is the market leader in Japanese. The company that's trying to acquire is, nowhere near the market leader and is American. We're the FTC. Like, surely you start from there and move on. Because in that's your starting point. Which is the company opposing this? Oh yeah, the market leading Japanese company. Which is the company trying to buy? Oh yeah, it's the third place American company. All right, cool. That's our starting point. That's our platform. Now let's go.
But I mean, even
Yeah,
if you look at the CMA and the EU, Nick, like at the beginning, they've got to take in all the information, and I completely don't disagree with the way that they went about that. Went, hey, these are actual possibilities that a Sony is bringing to us. These things could actually happen. Okay, well, if these are possibilities, let's look into them. Like, absolutely, they're complaints that people are making, and I think in their process, they have to look at it. And so we heard, because really PlayStation was the only one complaining, we heard that echoed from the CMA, the EU, and from the FTC. But over the course of time, you've started to see these companies have done the research and have gone, well, hang on a minute, this is actually not true. And they wouldn't foreclose. And if they did foreclose on Call of Duty for Sony, it wouldn't foreclose Sony. And so this is obviously not a problem. Xbox is not the market leader. PlayStation, by their own metrics, are like the 98% leader in their own country. Like, it's like they've done the research. And for the FTC to just seemingly carry on the case when every other regulator, and they're supposed to be the world leaders, by the way, when every other regulator has like done the research and gone, oh, hang on a minute, this actually isn't a problem. Yeah, let's approve this and just move on. Like, it's just
but it
weird.
feels simpler than that, though. Like, if the only opponent to an attempted merger / acquisition, there's only pretty much a single opponent, and that single opponent is A, the market leader, B, the only one that would be even remotely affected. To me, that just, oh well, too bad, so sad, move on. Like, we're talking about a situation where literally no other company within the gaming industry was opposed to it. Like, none of them. Not EA, not Take-Two, not Ubi, not Nintendo, none of them are opposed to it. None. So I don't know why this. I'm still shocked to this day that this got as deep as it did, as complicated as it did. I don't know. It's just, it seems insane to me.
I'm with you there.
Insane to me.
I'm with you there, and I think the bigger reason is it kind of gives you some tinfoil hattery. I'm going to put on the Everborn Saga's tinfoil hat really quick, and I will argue that Lina Kahn and the FTC may have been bought off. And I know I'm reaching out when I say this, but when you see all the evidence, like you pointed out, where it's kind of clear cut and nothing really adds up, well, then it's because we're not thinking outside of the box. What doesn't make sense here? And like, you look at these things, it's an American company, but she's going so hard for a foreign company. Weird. 2 was supposed to be for the consumer, and yet you're fighting against the consumer with this deal when you do this. That's 2. 3.
I don't think it's that far-fetched what you're saying, Umbra.
I don't either. And 3, I'll go further than that. I mean, people like to write it off because it seems so fantastical. I had to point out to somebody earlier we were in discussion. Everything seems fantastical until it's not. We had the FBI and the CIA that done so many crazy things here. People were like, nah, they didn't do that. Yeah, you got the COINTELPRO. You have the FBI that done some things here. I'm not going to go too far into it, but I'll just say this: they've done things here in America to Americans and citizens here that you would not believe. It seems like something out of a movie. And it does exist. People are bought off in the government all the time. Literally, they have lobbyists here for that very reason. And I've always long wanted that money out of politics for that very reason. But where there is money, there is corruption. And I'm not going to say that she is, but I would say because we cannot reasonably figure out why this is still going on, the only thing that makes sense is money at the end of the day. Either she's bought off or they're going to prolong this until Microsoft gives them something they want monetarily to let it go through. And then you look at other countries and things that have added or at least okayed the deal. Even the Japanese branch of the FTC has acquiesced. When you have them even acquiescing and saying, okay, yeah, we have no problems here. It's clear. But the American branch is like, nah, we want to look through this a little bit more. Something is very odd there for me.
So this is the part I find weird. So there's a person in the chat right now, Ant Tony Pony.
Oh, I want to address this. I want to address this.
He says, this is why you guys don't know what you're talking about. The ones that approve the acquisition don't care because COD has no influence in their region. It's not popular there. Now, Tony, here's the thing, right? All we've seen on Twitter for the last week is how PlayStation 5 is selling an insane amount. They're surpassing the PS4 sales. And Xbox sales have gone down and blah, 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 blah. Now, if that's the case, then once again, why would it matter if Microsoft were to lock down all ABK content? Because if you think about it, even if Microsoft were to become arseholes and lock it all down, they're not going to go from getting quote unquote absolutely destroyed in console sales before closing Sony, are they?
No.
This is what I don't get. This is another reason I don't understand the opposition to this deal. If Microsoft is being dominated, then them buying ABK gives them a chance to compete, does it not? If they're getting dominated, as you all love to remind us, Xbox is getting absolutely smashed on a monthly basis in console sales and in subs and in game sales and in this and in that. So if Microsoft is getting smashed, then what's the issue?
Right.
What's the issue
Exactly
with them
that.
getting ABK and locking it all down? What's the problem?
But furthermore to that, he's just unequivocally incorrect because his exact words were the ones that approve the acquisition don't care because COD has no influence in their region. Right now, at this very second, the UK is the third largest player of COD. Right now, at this very second, on the live player count. The fifth biggest is Germany. That's in the EU. So you're trying to say that the two countries, the two regions where this deal's being approved, COD has no influence. It's factually incorrect, mate. And what you need to do, what all of you guys need to do, is work with the facts, not work with the narratives that you decide or what you feel. And this is what bothers me with Twitter. You can just give facts all day, and eventually what happens is they start threatening to punch you in the face, or or they start insulting you, and that's
always wanted consistency.
Yeah,
I just want consistency in your arguments. Either Xbox sucks, in which case they need to spend this money to try and be better, or they don't suck and they're going to be a monopoly because of how amazing they are. And if they buy ABK, they're going to be a monopoly. Which is it?
It's Xbox got no games, and then Xbox has got too many games in the same friggin' sentence. Like, you're just showing your single-digit IQ, you know? Sorry.
To me,
he did say, and I respect this. I respect this. He did say, he would say, he says he's wrong. Okay, I will say I'm wrong there. And he can admit it when he's wrong. And that's a good thing. And more people need to be like you, because there's been times on Twitter, and Jesus, do you get dogpiled, where I've been wrong. And I'm like, okay, shit, I was wrong there. And then the dog pile comes and I'm like, oh my God, what did I should just ignored that. But that's the kind of person that I am personally. I can admit when I'm wrong too. And if more of us just did that instead of trying to be right about something we're wrong about, then maybe we could have some sort of consistency in the community.
Don't get me wrong. I did the same thing on Twitter. Someone came along and proved me wrong on Twitter, where I said I didn't think Sony was going to spend almost half their market cap trying to buy Take-Two. And then someone came along and said, well, Take-Two spent half their market cap buying Zynga. Was it Zynga
Yeah.
they bought? I was like, oh shit, you're right. Well, prove me wrong.
I'm
Yeah.
still waiting for you to admit you were wrong about Fortnite Riskit, just saying.
But he didn't quite prove
About
you
what,
wrong. He didn't
Fortnite?
quite prove you wrong, to be
What did you
fair.
say about Fortnite?
I mean, it's two different companies, and it's not like Sony did it.
Yeah. That's
Two
a
different
different.
I was
comparable
just
kinda-
basically saying that
Yeah.
I was just basically intimating that I don't envision Sony spending
Half that
30 or
much, yeah.
40 billion dollars
Mhm. Trying to acquire somebody.
to acquire Take-Two when just like remember, Sony's the market leader. You don't think regulators are going to have something to say about it if they try and buy Take-Two?
Mhm.
Like,
Even if they
look-
did,
look at-
Microsoft could outbid them. So there's that too.
Yeah, I don't think
Or,
Microsoft
or
would,
Embracer or Tencent, more importantly.
Yeah, I don't think Microsoft would jump in
Yeah.
a bidding war on with Sony. I think that would just become. I mean, it's
If
already
it was-
messy enough.
If it was for Take-Two, absolutely they would.
Mm,
Absolutely.
I-
They would be,
Take-Two, I think they would.
yeah, they would be foolish to sit there and just like, okay, let them get Take-Two.
I
No.
don't know, but they've let things go before, and this is Microsoft we're talking about here, right?
Take-Two's a bit different. Take-Two's a little bit
You all
different.
heard that?
and Sony,
He's a pony. You heard that,
acquiring-
right, chat?
Take-Two is a bit different.
Oh, I'm-
Yeah.
Um,
yeah, I
I'm an
think so,
Xbox
so,
guy
too.
with a brain. I don't just blindly follow and believe in our leader. Our leader. Look, we
A
do have to.
glorious leader.
We do have to sort of move through the topics though, because we and look, I will
Barely
add as
started.
well. It was a topic, that South Africa unconditionally approved the ABK deal, and I love that's a great thing. But we won't stick into the ABK stuff now. Listen, there's probably one that's that I think that maybe Nick might have a bit of insight on. And I wanted to talk about it. It's two games actually, but Tango working on a new JRPG. So before we jump into the topic, please hit the like button, share us out, subscribe if you're new here. We take all comers, including ponies with wrong takes. We go live at 8 p.m. every Friday EST. So one of the it's come from Reddit.
Capital.
Well, normally, this guy, this comes from Reddit. It's a guy claims that one of the projects that the studio is working on is a brand new IP set in an RPG genre, and he claims the other project is not Evil Within 3. So very interesting to see that. And then the other news that we're hearing that I believe Nick is hearing, if I'm reading this right, they wrote an article about you, is Alan Wake 2 is looking good.
Oh yeah. Ooh, okay, yeah. I wish I hadn't tweeted that now. It's like look. How do I say this? Because if I say certain things, I'll get in big trouble. So, as I've said in the past, I've been pretty open about how I get my info, where it all comes from, to the point where I've even publicly shown redacted DMs. I'm not a journalist like, Jez or Jeff Grubb or Schreier or, what Tom Henderson is trying to be, or I'm not a video game journalist, far from it. This isn't my full-time gig. This is a side thing I do. So I don't dig in a lot. I try to sometimes, but I don't dig in a lot. I've got a few people that I trust that send me stuff. Sometimes it's just a message that says, hey, this is happening. Sometimes it's screenshots. Sometimes it's videos. Sometimes it's documents. I'm still upset. I'm still annoyed that I couldn't delve into and leak the massive, massive document I received on Skull and Bones a couple of years ago. Because again, I'm not an intelligent person, and I just do what I'm told in terms of when my sources reached out to me. So with Alan Wake 2, can't go into a lot of detail, but at the time I spoke to my source and I said, okay, can I tweet this? I literally, the way I work is I'll start typing a tweet, take a screenshot, send it to them and say, is that okay to say? They'll say yep or no or whatever. In hindsight now, I wish I hadn't tweeted that, because I can see how someone who doesn't follow me and to someone who doesn't know me, I can see how that tweet looks stupid and pointless. I can completely and utterly see how that tweet looks very stupid and very pointless.
Nick, what is it about
Um,
that Skull and Bones thing? I'm interested a little bit that you mentioned that.
I a while back,
We're going to be careful here
got
as well, by the way, just to say. Yeah.
oh why?
We're under
Is that-
NDA for that, so
Oh, well, I'm not.
What? What?
Skull and Bones.
I'm not under NDA for it.
I'm not under NDA.
Oh, you know,
Yeah.
you can say what you want. I won't correct you.
Oh. Yeah, no. I just quite a
it
while
must
back.
just be you and me, Riskit. Yeah.
Quite a while back, I received a very, very lengthy document on Skull and Bones, and like I showed it to John, and John was like, "Oh my god, let's write an article. We've got this is huge for us. This is huge for Xbox Zero." So I said to the source that sent it to me, "Hey, can we do an article on this?" And they were like, "Nope, can't." I
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, really?" They're like, "Nope, cannot." The
What's
person
the
that sent it will get in big trouble.
What's the
And this was
value
a full
of
Hmm.
receiving, that sort of stuff? Then when all it really does is
see, this is the thing. You guys have no idea how much it happens to me, though. You guys have no idea how often I just get stuff and then get told, nope, can't show it, can't say anything.
Yeah, I want to echo what Riskit said. What is the value from those publishers to even, share that information with you then?
Because he
Right.
knows.
I guess they like.
But there has to be a means to the
How do I
end.
say this without sounding like an arrogant prick? A lot of these people, I guess, see me as a friend, so they just share stuff with me.
That's understandable then,
That's how all this started. Like all of this stuff started 3.5 years ago. Someone just reached out and said, "I've watched your show and you seem like a cool dude. Want me to leak your stuff?" And I was like, "Okay."
That was it. Let me give you some information.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, you wouldn't say no, would you?
That basic. You wouldn't. You wouldn't say no. They just said to me, they were like, "Hey, you
It
want?"
must
And the
just be
very,
such a
very,
heavy burden. Like, I can only imagine
very
having
first
information
thing.
like that.
Oh, it can be, especially if it's something I'm genuinely excited about. When it's stuff that I don't care about,
Yeah.
it's like whatever. The very, very, very first thing they ever gave me was that oh god, it's again, we're talking 3.5 years ago. The very first thing they gave me was about Resident Evil. Remember that Resident Evil multiplayer thing that turned out to be Resident Evil 3's multiplayer, Resident Evil 3 remake?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was the very first thing they gave me. So on our show, I said, I sort of, at the time, we didn't have a rumor mill yet. The process hadn't evolved. It was the first thing I was ever leaking or teasing. And we were talking on our show, and I said, hey, wouldn't it be funny if, like, Resident Evil, whatever the hell it was called, Reverse? What was it called? I can't even remember what its name was.
Reverse, yeah.
Wouldn't it be funny if our Reverse was just Resident Evil 3's multiplayer under our nose all along?
Mm.
Because that's what I was told to say. And then it turned out that our Reverse was Resident Evil 3's multiplayer all along.
Wow.
Then they gave me Wonderful 101 was going to have a Kickstarter. Platinum was going to do a Kickstarter for Wonderful 101, which turned out was the case as well. So again, it all just started. And this is all, see, most people haven't been following me 3.5 years. Most people have only been following me for 6 months or a year or whatever it is. I keep everything in a OneNote just so I can remember it because I'm old and I forget stuff. This same person just sent me this document.
I thought
Just
OneNote
sent it to me.
got shut down. No, just kidding.
OneNote's still around. But yeah, so this has gone off on a tangent. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good.
Similar thing with Alan Wake 2. I got to be careful. So, someone reached out to me at Alan Wake 2 and we went back and forth and I put together that tweet and they were like, yep, just say that.
Oh, shit.
So I was like, cool. But again, when you don't know me and you don't know the context, I can see how that tweet looks stupid.
Right.
For the people that have been following me a little bit longer and the people that do know me, they probably saw a little bit deeper into that tweet, only because they know me and they know how I work. Yeah, it's just, one of those things. Again, it's very difficult for me to say certain things right now without getting in trouble. So that's
We understand.
what I'll say.
It's interesting with that
that's
Skull and Bones though, because we had such talks here on the podcast where ultimately I turned out to be right and I took some knees. Where I said Skull and Bones is kind of like a vaporware thing to me. I thought it was going to be delayed back then, and then it got delayed. I thought it was going to be delayed again, and it was delayed again. So to me, it seems kind of like it's missed that window to be released. Do you think that's still
for
coming
sure?
out? Yeah,
It feels pointless now, but it's not going to get cancelled. Trust me, it ain't getting cancelled.
Okay.
No, look,
what did I?
we know it's
read
not
or
getting
hear?
cancelled because I mean that's supported by the Singaporean government. They want to.
That's right. So it ain't getting cancelled.
Yeah, so it's not getting cancelled. Right. Like they will definitely release that game, whether the merits,
high water.
Yeah, whether the merits of that game like deserve a release or not, that's definitely a different story. I can say this. I can say it has potential. And I can say that if the delay is to work on a very specific part of the game that was lacking, then it's possible, unlikely, but possible that this could actually turn it around. I also will say this: it's not bad. It's not a bad game, but it's definitely not at the level that you would want a Ubisoft AAA release to be at. And that's all I can say.
Is there, if anyone can answer, is there like base building in the game? Or is it just ship combat and that's it? Can you build things?
Don't think that we can talk about that unless it's been talked about.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't think so. No, I just wasn't sure because I feel like it's a huge missed opportunity if you can't,
Let me pull out my document. Still got it.
Because I feel like if you can build, if it has a deep building sort of mechanic to the game, I just feel like it could be something. Yeah.
I'm not under NDA, but this document's from like 2020, so it's very old. Yeah, it's a 2020 document. What's it got? I'm having a look through it right now.
Okay, cool.
I just want to know: is it trying to be Sea of Thieves, like a grown up Sea of Thieves?
No.
So what I can say is,
based on what I'm seeing here.
So what I could definitely say is, so I can say this. There's areas that are similar to base camps in the game, sort of like Far Cry, where you meet NPCs and you take on contracts, and then you go craft and build up your fleet.
Right.
It is mostly ship-to-ship combat with some on-land components. This I'm just reading from articles, so I know I can say this stuff. Mostly ship-to-ship combat, but there's like two very specific. Look, man, let's put it this way: Black Flag was an awesome game. Why don't they just make another one of those? It's as simple as that. Like, simply just make another Black Flag. And it would have been a hit.
It's the strangest development cycle for this game. It just, it's so odd.
Love me some Black Flag.
It feels like the direction kept changing.
Yeah.
That's how it felt. Like, there's stuff here in this document that I'm reading. It says playstyles, Predator. And there's a Predator playstyle. There's a Scavenger playstyle. There's a Smuggler playstyle. I don't know if this stuff is still in the game now. Like I said, this is from 2020.
It's interesting you say that because that calls to mind Splinter Cell. Remember the last one of Splinter Cell, they hit the Predator and all these other types of styles you can play through as stealth and all of these types of things. So that sounds very similar to that to me.
Unplayable characters: John Skurlock, the Pirate King, Rama, the Admiral of Widows. I don't know if all these things are still going to be in the game. I'm just reading from this document.
I haven't heard of those things. So
yes.
You sound totally believable.
I have no idea.
I think we spoke about this before. The reason why this development cycle seems strange is because it's changed hands so many times, and that's that obviously rings true with this very old document that we've got. And I think it's a real problem within very long development cycles.
It's like they've never truly been confident in any direction they've chosen for the game so far.
Yep. Seems like it.
That's what I'm saying.
Also-
If none of this
yeah.
stuff that I'm looking at's in the final game, it just speaks to the fact that clearly the direction kept changing and things kept changing.
Yep.
And they've
that's
just
the-
like clung
Some of
on
it would
to
definitely still be in there.
it's a
they've
problem
clung
of
on
the
to
times
its
too.
life because they've probably spent so much money on development so far, and it's just like
Yeah,
It's that.
again, money's not an issue because the Singapore government's just throwing cash at this thing. They want game development within the country. It's one of their policies to support it. So they are subsidizing the development of it, and I guess that should give you. I mean, I guess just goes to prove. I mean, nothing's proven yet, but just goes to prove that money does not make a good game. It's the talent in the studios that are always going to, either make a good game or make it succeed or make it fail. That, and you sort of brought up another good question. Now, Dead Island has Dead Wake. Dead
I was going to say, what game is that?
Dead Wake. It's a zombie game with Alan Wake in it. You play as a zombie, and your mission is to collect as many brains as. Anyway, moving on. Before I do hit the next topic, please hit the like button. Subscribe if you are new here. We go live. Usually
talked about the existing topic. We hardly talked about Tango working on an RPG.
We got to move. Oh well, look. What do you know about that?
Yeah, you
I
know
don't
something,
know
Nick.
anything about that. I know nothing about that.
Go on,
Haven't
Nick.
heard a single thing about that.
Spill the beans. Is
News to me.
well, look.
News to me.
It's a good thing in my opinion because it's a region where they need to hit, right. It's something that seems to have been missing from Xbox, and to have a first-party studio working on a JRPG, they're not my thing. I don't normally get into them. I know Umbra loves them, but for me, I think for the brand itself, as a business, it makes sense for them to start making JRPGs. Umbra, I know that you would be super excited for a JRPG, and yes, Nick, you're right, but I'm trying to keep the show down to 2 hours because this is my lunch break.
Yeah, I think we're about to cross
really?
the 2-hour threshold in 8 minutes or 9 minutes. But yeah, no.
I do this on every show I'm on. I'm so sorry.
Oh no,
Yeah,
it's not
you
your
guys
fault,
knew this
brothers.
was gonna
It's a
happen.
bunch of us talking. Yeah, it's a bunch
It's a
of us.
lie.
talking.
You're not sorry. Not at all. You're having a
Oh,
great time.
Dang. She said at the comfort of her hotel room, living a luxurious
Yeah.
life. No, but
Not a,
look at cutie. Don't correct me, woman. No, I'm joking. No, but seriously, no, JRPGs are dope, and I'm happy to see that. I'm guessing is it the case, Nick, that John Johannes, he's going to be taking over, basically, right?
I assume so.
That's what I'm thinking. So it
Shinji
seems,
Mikami's gone.
yeah, because he's gone now, which surprised the hell out of me. But I'm imagining now that
Isn't
they're
that-
going to embrace so many things.
Isn't that weird though? Look,
It's a little odd that he left. That
I don't want to
soon.
like get wholly and solely into the reasons why I think it's weird, but I think anyone could. If you just have a small amount of brain power, you could deduce why I think it's strange for John to be taking over a Japanese studio. It's a little bit weird, right?
Yeah, I mean, he
Oh,
speaks.
well, he's got the
Japanese,
pedigree now, doesn't he?
and he speaks it. Yeah, he's like,
Right?
he's
Yeah.
from-
And didn't she? Oh,
Is it like one of those?
forgive me if I'm wrong.
Is it like Karate Kid? Like where the he's like Ralph Macchio and Mikami's like Mr. Miyagi.
Miyagi.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's funny you say that because I think, in a sense, it is because. Forgive me if I'm wrong, or correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one of the things that Shinji Mikami had in mind when he founded Tango or started with Tango GameWorks was that it was all about one of the values or the fundamentals of the studio was about bringing the next wave of developers through. He was never going to hang around for the long haul. If you go back and have a look at some of his interviews, it was all about a mentoring and sort of like a tutelage of the next up and coming guys. And I think he was only going to be happy to step away when he knew the studio was going to be left in good hands. And I think with Johannes and with the success of Hi-Fi Rush, and I think some of the leadership qualities that I think that he's sort of portrayed, going by some of the interviews, I think he felt the studio's in good hands with him.
So
and
John's
that's why
all
he
over
stepped
the
away.
waxing on and the waxing off. Then is
I,
what you're saying.
I think he is, man. Yeah, I think your analogy was pretty good there, mate. So
Johanna's son,
Yeah.
Johansson's son. No, I think,
think-
yeah, I'm happy to see it though. Like I said, because for one, Tango Gameworks have surprised me with Hi-Fi Rush. As you all know, I love the game. Played the hell out of it. I'm going to jump back on it soon enough. Beat it 5 times. Love that game. So I'm actually very interested in seeing his vision for the JRPG and things going forward. I when I saw them making like the Evil Within, and no shade to the game or to people who love it, but to me, that's not all I wanted to see Shinji do. So I
Me
wanted
too,
to
man.
see them step away from that. And I know they're coming out with part 3. I already know that's in the works. So, but I do want to see them diversify. Actually, they're doing something I wish Microsoft would do with more teams, and that's allow them to create more than just one game or IP, such as the Coalition. They should not be stuck on just Gears for me. And they were working on something that now they shuttled and put to the side to get back to Gears. It's like, come on, man. So I'm
but
actually
then the
really
problem is
excited for that.
Microsoft also has a problem with giving games a chance as well.
Yeah, that
Hold
that
up,
too.
didn't I
Like-
see something this morning that alluded to the fact that every single Xbox first party studio
was working on 2 projects.
is
or
working on
multiple
2 projects at once. Yeah, I think that was just a recent thing that came to light. So, I mean, I hope there's some truth to that.
I hope it is too. I saw that, but
Right.
then who knows what that could be?
Yeah,
they could be
I
talking
know,
about
yeah.
DLC or something for the same game.
Very
For all
true,
we know,
very true.
Yeah, because I don't think, like for instance, 343 is not working on a different game. They're working just on Halo, so that can't
Ugh,
technically be true.
flat out tying their shoelaces.
Yeah. And they and much love to 343. They're trying to correct it. Season 3
Yeah,
was
yeah.
solid, but yeah, they got some ways to go. But no, I'm actually very excited, Risk, because JRPGs, I don't think they get enough love on the Xbox side of things, because a lot of us
And that
we
is as
yeah.
it should be. Sorry.
Yeah. We gotta. A lot of us need to
There's
shade
so
that.
many more topics to get to.
I don't think we're going to get to them today, Nick. But no, I'm happy for it. I want to see what they do. I just hope it's something really, really out there. You know what I mean? And Microsoft has kind of shaded away from getting their JRPGs that they own. What happened to Blue Dragon? What happened to Lost Odyssey? Like, these things need to return. So I'm happy to see that happen.
Yeah, this is great news that addresses a number of different things, areas where Xbox is lacking at the moment. And why not? We know they need JRPGs. We know they want to focus more on the Japanese studios. And why not give it to a studio that's firing on all cylinders at the moment? They've got nothing but goodwill going for them at the moment, Tango Gameworks. So, yeah, why not? It's a great thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Hi-Fi Rush has set them up for some real success. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm really excited to see what they come up with in their next chapter.
Do you think that he every morning when he wakes up stands on the end of his bed and does the crane kick, or he's just out there
Definitely.
waxing his car?
Catching flies with chopsticks.
Do you think he just sits in the office all day, like with his coffee, just look?
It's grabbing people's noses and taking them. The little honk animation. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
Look, sorry. Look, we will now definitely move to the next topic. Before we do, Cutie's daughter has her 11th birthday today, which is really, really exciting.
No,
she is
whoa.
drawing-
She's not 11. I said I have to go at 11.
Okay, so she has her
She's 4. She's
four birthdays. So she
How old was Cutie when she?
I know.
going
on?
Wow.
She
think
only
she was
protested
12.
because it aged her up. So she's like, hold on now. I didn't
No, I'm not ready
Watch-
for an 11-year-old.
watch your demon tongue.
no
But-
one
I've
so-
got an
no one
11-year-old.
ever is. No one ever is. But anyway, my point being is that it is a birthday today, and Cutie does have to make her exit left stage. So, Cutie, let people know where they
Happy
can find you.
birthday to your little girl.
Yes, happy
Oh,
birthday. We
thanks.
could have sang her a song, man.
No.
Nick, you want to lead? Go
No.
ahead, Nick.
You could
Hey,
have Umbra,
Jesus
not us.
Christ, you serious?
Happy
definitely-
birthday to
Where is that
her.
mute button? There it is.
Go ahead, Nick. Carry on in me because he'll mute me. He will.
You
Yeah.
know what? She's she's gonna have a great day. We're on a little holiday, and she's honestly living her best life. She's the most extra 4-year-old you'll ever meet. Don't know where she gets it from. But yes, thank you again for having me as always. Always great to catch up with you guys. Garuda, you're great. Nick, fantastic talking with you. You got some spicy
to meet you.
content there, and not the kind that people ask me about all the time. But I will say that I'm looking forward to finishing Minecraft Legends. I'm also really excited for Jedi Survivor. Let's go. I'm gonna be playing that religiously. I'm also getting some. There's Crash Bandicoot Rumble or something. I've got an email sitting there that I have to reply to, so I'll go and do that, and I'll probably download that and see how that is. But yes, thank you, Chad. You're always amazing. It's great talking about news topics with everyone. You can follow me. I'll put my little linky link down below. And you guys follow me on YouTube. Jeez, if I had more followers, I'd have more reason to put up content. Just saying.
Well, I mean, you can always
you're on there.
do the content that I was suggesting the other day. Anyway, it was absolutely it was
Down now.
it was absolutely fantastic to have you on the show, Cutie, and happy birthday to your little one, Alice.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I'll catch you guys next week.
All right, cool.
Bye-bye.
Tell her how beautiful
Bye.
her voice was singing her happy birthday, by the way.
I will not be doing that. No.
Hey.
Definitely not. No, it wasn't beautiful. It was like nails on a chalkboard. Anyway, we will move to the next topic as we outro Cutie See Like Cutie. Now, I've jumped up and down on these topics so often. I normally have them in order, but this is another one I wanted to talk about. Look, Cliffy B may be developing a new game, and I was following this on Twitter. I don't think a lot of people were following this, but there was a rumor that he might be developing a new game, and then it led into he just got a text from his lawyer about it's not very nice, Shooter. Not very nice at all.
It's true, though. It's true, Shooter. You're right.
He just got a text from his lawyer about Lawbreakers. That's right. And then the response from his lawyer was that the guy who's leading the studio or is publishing for the DICE game, the finals, actually owns the IP, which to my mind kills it immediately. Because what you're talking about is the dude's producing or helping to produce an arena shooter in a similar style to Lawbreakers. I don't see that guy releasing the IP anytime soon. I wouldn't want to be throwing any more arena shooters into the market if I was bringing one to market. So what I think Cliffy should definitely do is just get to work on a new game.
I wish we had got him on our show after that lawyer text came. Would have been good. We had him on just before all that went down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he?
I watched that episode.
And he didn't have much to say about Lawbreakers?
He spoke more about how things went down and how upset he was about a lot of people losing their jobs and all that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
Less about a potential Lawbreakers comeback.
Maybe you sparked the idea, Nick.
I don't know. I'd like to think we did.
You were the
I'd like
spark.
to think we did.
You know, Lawbreakers for me, it didn't do much for me though. Like, did you all care for that?
Well,
I didn't play it.
It was extremely difficult, so there was a high skill ceiling. So if you're not a skilled gamer, I could definitely understand why you wouldn't have liked it.
Oh, that's my problem.
So why did you like it, Risk?
I love the immediate pushback. It's great.
I love how you threw the bottle at the closed door just now, by the way. And missed the person behind the bar. Look.
Have you seen
But anyway,
this? I've been kicking ass
Yeah,
this entire
I
game.
saw it.
Yeah.
I saw it.
People
You did
complain
do that.
about my gameplay. I was like,
Yeah.
right, I'm going to concentrate this time. I'm not going to be talking at a party, and I'm going to show some people how Riskit gets down. Anyway, yep.
There you go. So wait. By the way, did you guys ask him about how did he feel on Lawbreakers, kind of like skipping out on Xbox the way they did, and everything like that?
Yes, we did.
What was his answer to that? I forgot.
I told him that I thought, like, I said to him straight up, I said, look, dude, whether you like it or not, the impact of Gears has forever associated you with Xbox. Whether that's fair or not, or whether you like it or not,
It's facts.
That's the fact.
that is forever who you are tied to. So I just thought that that it was a bit of a mistake that they just went PlayStation 4 because PlayStation 4 had the bigger market share. That's just a little bit short-sighted to me. Like, it's sort of like the same thing with JRPGs and Xbox. Like, even though Xbox was beating PlayStation 3 for pretty much the entirety of the gen, I would be surprised if multi-platform JRPGs were selling more on Xbox. Like, it's not always as simple as, oh, well, this console has a larger install base, let's go there. Sometimes there's a little more context than that. And Xbox has forever been known as the shooter box. So if you're Cliffy B, the maker of Gears of War, and you're launching a brand new shooter, probably makes sense to launch it on Xbox.
Yeah, absolutely.
As opposed to PlayStation.
I mean, that's something that I think even the most staunch Game Pass supporter would actually buy. I mean, I would buy that.
Oh, again, don't get me wrong. I didn't play the game, so I don't know if it was great, crap, whatever. And launching on Xbox may not have guaranteed Lawbreakers any success. But I would put money down to say that it probably would have experienced more success than it did on PlayStation.
Agreed.
Now, Cliffy's answer was essentially money, time, all these sorts of things. They chose their platform and that's it. Again, I'd have to watch it back to remember exactly what he said, but it was essentially, well, it's not that easy and cheap to just go into a port on another platform.
He did a Square Enix. He took the bag. It didn't work out. Then he cried about it. Sorry.
That's been a
consensus
online.
I don't know if he cried about it so much.
Well, look. He wasn't as impressed with the success as he could have been. I should say it like that. But that's what Square Enix do. Like they take the bag up front to make the platform exclusive, but then you can't really turn around and say, "Oh, look, our success wasn't there. We're disappointed with how it turned out." Well, probably should have had the game in more places, especially being a new IP and a new thing, and especially when, like you said, Nick, you are going to be forever associated with Xbox. Come on, man. I'm sorry.
I don't think that was. I don't. As far as I'm aware, I'd have to double check. But as far as I'm aware, I don't think that was a money hat situation. I think that when they decided to make Lawbreakers, and I don't even know. I can't even remember if it was Cliffy's decision 100%. I think there was actually someone else who made the call. They just. I think what happened was. They just saw that PlayStation 4 had the larger install base and went, okay, go PlayStation 4. They just. Whoever made that decision didn't take greater context into account. It's sort of like Titanfall. Look at Titanfall 2's performance versus Titanfall 1, which only released on Xbox. So logically, you'd think Titanfall 2 should do much, much better, shouldn't it? Because it also launched on PlayStation 4.
It was also a good game.
To that. Titanfall 2 was...
But it got launched.
The campaign.
It got sandwiched in between two massive games, Battlefield and COD, I believe it was. I mean, you sandwich a game in between those. It doesn't matter what game that game is dead. It was DOA.
Titanfall 2's campaign is amazing.
That's part of what I was pointing out with Starfield back then, Risk, but it launching supposedly around with Zelda. It's like, yeah, sometimes you can't put those things by each other like that. It doesn't matter that it's this major thing from Bethesda. Zelda is Zelda, and it's 130 million different people who own a Switch. It's going to probably take precedent over Starfield overall, and that's what I would think Microsoft will want to avoid.
That is fraudulent, sayings, and we at Xbox Infinite do not support, and nor is Infinite's the view of Xbox. No,
I speak exactly for Xbox Infinite. Riskit told me. We here love Nintendo, and there's sticks that break whenever you hit somebody with it one time.
Yeah.
No, but like Yodani kind of nailed it, and I did get this from the interview with you guys, Nick. I'm not gonna lie, and I like Cliffy B, but he does have a kind of a douche attitude. I'm gonna be honest. Even when you guys talk with him, I thought he was a little douchey-ish. If you
it's not even douche. Like there's an air of arrogance and like cockiness about him, and that's okay. Like I think he's earned that to an extent.
I think we need more of that. I think we need more of that in the game.
And I think a little bit of that. I think a little bit of that could be cultural. Like Aussies don't. Aussies don't get affronted by that sort of cockiness and arrogance, I think, as much as Americans do.
That
Although,
could be true.
having
That
said
could be
that,
true.
on the flip side, Aussies are world famous for their tall poppy syndrome at the same time. Yeah, we don't like. I don't mind. Again, when it's warranted, going back to the AFL
Yeah, that's
talk,
the thing, Nick. That's the thing.
Jason Ackermanis is an AFL footballer who was very cocky, very arrogant, but he could back it up times out of 10.
What about a Camilla?
Except for that time when he got well famously laid the fuck out.
How about a Hideki Kamiya from Platinum Games?
Kamiya's just a dickhead.
Yeah, you see what I mean, right?
That's
See,
horrible.
No,
now,
but
he's further off.
Hang on, are you
than-
comparing
yeah.
the lead of Platinum Games to Cliffy B? Did you
Just pointing out that arrogance has a
No,
point to where he can
that's-
be really
Kamiya's
bad.
also just a tiny bit
he's
racist
terrible.
as well. Let's not forget.
He is.
terrible.
That's true.
I mean,
What?
there's,
No,
Insect.
there's
I brought him up
cockiness
too for a reason, by the way.
and racist. And
I brought him up for a reason.
Racist.
That you're right. You're right. But I brought him up for a reason though, because Nick told me the story on Twitter one time, and I could not help but laugh my ass off. Nick, would you tell us? Could you tell everybody what happened when you interacted with him one time on Twitter?
Oh
He
my
asked for
God.
something.
It's literally the only time I've interacted with him. Like, I just happened to see a tweet of his. I don't even think I was following him, or I might have been. I can't remember. He put out a tweet in English, mind you, in English. So let's just get that fuckery out of the way for a second. The dude tweets in English, but then tells people to reply to him in Japanese.
Yeah.
Right?
And then calls
So
you an
that's-
insect if you tweet in English.
Sure
Yeah, that's
does.
the first just dumb shit that he does.
Oh man.
So he puts out a tweet and says, "Hey, in English, how do you get Forza Horizon 2? You can't buy Forza Horizon 2. Blah 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 blah." I just happened to have a code, Forza Horizon 2 on Xbox One. I can't remember how I got it, where I got it, but I had it sitting there. I just had it. So I replied to him, said, "Hey, dude, I'll give you a copy if you want." He blocked me. Just like, are you the dumbest bastard going around?
Yeah, he's a POS, bro.
You literally asked for a copy of the game in English. I offered you a copy for free. You block me. Like,
Yep.
that's
What else do you
just
need to
the-
say about the guy? Like, that's
Oh my
just.
God.
Yeah.
That is just the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Well,
Did
look,
you guys see him literally calling English speakers insects? And
Yeah.
Insects.
Yeah.
Like, he's
Yeah,
just-
we-
he's
look, we-
just an
you know,
idiot.
we actually talked about it on the show, and I have a severe disdain for Platinum Games. Well, we'll not buy a Platinum game, regardless. I don't care if
the
it's
game's
the
just shit.
game of the year. I won't buy the game. I will not support that studio. I just think they're scum, especially what they did with Xbox, and then Xbox copped the blame for it. That was just really weird. And sort of, I guess it shows up the media
That's that
bias.
reputation we were talking about
Yeah.
earlier. That's
Yeah.
that reputation where they're the bad guy and they're meddlers and they get involved and blah, 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 blah. That's what we're talking about.
When in actual fact, it wasn't that way. And the only time Platinum came out was, I think it was last year, when they said, "Oh, that actually didn't happen. Microsoft were the good guys.
Yeah, I know.
Can we work with you again?"
When they needed something,
Yeah,
right? Then they told the truth.
Yeah. Which is, again, I don't really have much time for Platinum Games. But when it comes to Cliffy B, his type of arrogance, I think that's needed in the industry. That's the arrogance you would want from a Phil Spencer, like that everyone talks about. God, I'd love to see Phil Spencer
Well, I
just
kind
roll
of
up,
agree.
right?
That is,
Yeah,
that's
but
to
what's
be
he done
fair,
lately?
To a point, yeah.
Yeah.
To a point, I would say like
He retired. He didn't retire from
Right.
game development, to be fair.
I do
Not
like the
really.
kind of like rock star kind of attitude he has with it, right? But I would say he needs to be a little careful, because it does at times he does kind of have the douchey part too. Now I would want Phil to have more of the rock star. I'm gonna give you this high end AAA, in your face, blah blah blah. Michael, what's that dude name? That gave us
Yeah, but Cliffy delivered, right? Cliffy,
he did.
the man delivered
He did.
every time, and even Lawbreakers that he built a bit of a cult following for. And I agree. I think it was just platform choice, and had that been multi-plat at the very least, I think that might have been a very different story. I'd like to see him.
You know what? I actually disagree.
You
I
know,
actually reckon it should have been Xbox exclusive.
I would agree with that.
is that
right
you guys
there.
just
I actually
being
reckon it should have
Xbox?
been Xbox exclusive.
Is that what's going on here?
Sorry?
You guys being
He got
Xbox?
he got his fame and came up on Xbox.
Do I
Why
need
not
to
have
bring
Yeah,
it?
but I think any game, if you bring in something, a new IP in like that, especially if it has any sort of multiplayer element, if you want to sort of give it the best chance of success, you
Multiplayer.
kind of need it to be multiplat.
Not really.
You know.
Gears had it. It did
I'm
just
not sure
fine.
about that.
Yeah, Gears
Mm.
had it, and
Okay.
it
But
did just
for
fine
its
on
best,
Xbox
Well,
Live.
for its
So
best
fine.
chance though, that
Well-
was a first party studio too. So
But what metric
yeah,
are you
but, I
measuring
mean, not at the
success
time
by?
it wasn't.
I mean, because if you
Remember,
go
it was
by,
still owned by Epic until they sold it off. They
If we-
still
we didn't
had that.
by player engagement. So straight away, you've already cut half your player base away by alienating the platforms. And
Yeah.
I just mean if you want it to have the best chance at success, based on, like I said before, the new metric of player engagement, you probably should go multiplat. The situation with Gears, I get that it was successful and but that was a first party studio. It was never going to be multiplat.
No, but it wasn't first party at first. Remember, they didn't own them yet. They didn't own Gears yet. They didn't own
when it
Epic-
first came
Epic
out,
owned
they
it. Yeah, Epic owned that. They didn't buy it. I didn't
Yeah,
think
but
they
it-
got
but
that
it-
until part 3.
yeah, but
I
it was, but the game was exclusive though, right? Like
That's
as
right.
in they signed a deal with Epic, right?
yeah, Xbox
Yeah.
money had it a game away from PlayStation and took content away from them. It was horrific, horrible to watch. To be
think.
honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Riskit
Yeah, fair
views
enough.
are not conducive to Xbox.
You gotta remember already one thing history has taught us is that exclusives get a bit more attention anyway.
Mm-hmm.
From a general discussion and marketing perspective, exclusives get more attention.
And let's be honest, console
Then
war.
Then
Yep.
you're also talking about a game from the creator of Gears of War. If you were gonna pick one of those two consoles to make Lawbreakers exclusive to, Xbox would have made more
For
sense.
sure.
Mhm.
For sure. If
Oh,
they
yeah.
were going to choose one, I agree.
Mhm.
Yeah, regardless of install base, it should have been Xbox.
I
And
agree.
and to this day, many years later, I don't care if people disagree with me. It should have been. It doesn't guarantee that it would have been successful, not at all. But I think it would have had more success than it did.
I agree
Yeah.
with that.
Oh yeah.
But
More
if
success
he was
than
going to choose one platform, I thoroughly agree that it should have been Xbox for the sheer fact that, as you mentioned, whether he likes it or not, he identifies with Xbox and always will. So
Right.
it probably would have had more legs, or it probably would have had a better uptake. But
Xbox fans would have got behind it. Oh, Cliffy's new shooter.
absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We love Gears.
No,
Imagine how good Lawbreakers is going to be. Oh, my God. Cliffy's new shooter. Cliffy's new shooter.
you're right. But
would
if he
have
was
had
if he
more
was
success.
going to go with PlayStation no matter what, he should have went with Xbox. It should have been multiplat.
Mhm.
You know.
Agreed. I definitely agree with that. I think it would have actually seen success because we know that PlayStation players can't play shooters. They are bad at multiplayer games. And when it comes to social interaction, also not their strength. Look, I do want to move on. I hope there's some ponies in the chat. Clip that. Because it's all
No,
true.
that other pony, he left.
We'll move on to the next topic and the final topic for the show. This one that I am pretty super stoked about, but I want to take a bit of different skew on it. Before I do, please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new here. Share us out. Tell your dad, your mum, your grandma, make her a cup of tea and a bicky and get her to sit down and listen to Xbox
Nan.
Infinite at 8 p.m. EST. Nan.
What's a big?
Or could be 9, depending on breakfasts. Moving on to the next topic. I'm rambling.
We are, I think, hitting hour 3. It looks like.
Yeah, I know. Diablo 4. I wanted to talk about this.
Really?
Definitely wanted to talk about this. So Diablo 4. Yeah, I'm definitely outside of my lunch break. I'm going to have to explain this to the boss. Diablo 4 is getting a surprise open beta for 2 days.
There's another topic down here.
They're calling it the Slam the Servers.
The beta server slam.
Yeah, it's going to be. I reckon it's going to get an absolute slamming. So I personally think someone said it doesn't guarantee that it's going to launch in a good state. I'm like, I think if you're going to, this is going to be the one because everyone's heard how good this is if they haven't played it, and everyone who's played it is going to play it again. And this creates hype because it's 2 weeks out from release. So I think it's probably going to do great things for having it launch in a great state. But my question is this and I'm going to go to Garuda first. My question is this. Do you think this deal's going to close in time? And there is a rumor on the streets saying that Xbox has 2 shows. Now, Boom asked me this last night. We were talking about it last night. There's a rumor that Xbox has 2 shows. One of them is set up to go for if the ABK deal goes through. And one of them is set up to go if they're still litigating that case or that hasn't quite gone through yet. One, do you think that deal is going to go through? And do you think we'll see Diablo at the Xbox show in June? Or do you think we're going to have to wait for that to hit Game Pass? And do you think it's going to hit Game Pass day one if this deal goes through?
Well, first of all logic would say that the deal should go through by early June,
30?
when Diablo 4 releases,
June,
because
June 11th?
there really is no reason. June 11th. There is really no reason that deal should not have already closed when you base it on all the facts and all the logic and all the evidence that's been presented so far. However, we can tell that there's a hell of a lot more going on behind the scenes that is not logical. It's all political based, and there's a lot of dodgy dealings going on in the background. So my heart says
June
yes,
6th, by the way, Risk.
June
Sorry to cut you
6th,
off, Garuda. Yeah.
My heart says yes, the deal will be closed, but my head says probably not. Now, I'm going to follow my heart and say yes, because that's one game that I will be purchasing full price if the deal has not gone through, right? That is a rare exception because I really love Diablo. I played the beta. It's excellent. Now, the second part to that is, do I think this is going to be a good thing, this third, I guess you could say, in a way, beta? Yeah, it is, because we know that this game's going to be massively popular at launch. It's going to have all kinds of server issues, no matter what way they slice it on the opening couple of days. And as many stress tests that they can do, the better it's going to be come launch day. However, I don't think I will be playing it again, because I'm already a little bit salty that my progress doesn't carry over from the first 2 weekends. And I don't really want to play. Yeah, I'm a little bit salty about that, just because, you get attached to all the loot that you've grinded, and you're working your ass off for that stuff, and it doesn't carry over from the first beta to this beta, and it doesn't carry over from this beta to the full game either.
You get your cat, Garuda. You get your cat that you get to use in the main game.
Fuck the cat. But no. Look, that'd be cool. But I'm not going to play through it all again. I've already done that. I'm going to wait an extra few weeks before the main game comes out. But look, I do think, because there is no reason that it shouldn't, that the deal will be closed by then, and I will not have to open my wallet.
Yeah, so I just want to
the game's awesome.
again,
just awesome though.
I just want to Umbra, I'm gonna have to correct you, but so the dates, and I really hope that I'm correct, because I booked my flights around the dates. June 11 is the Xbox showcase.
No, but you asked about June is release.
Sorry.
For Diablo. Diablo releases June 6th.
No, I was saying
4 days early access.
No, so I was saying the showcase is June 11. So if they are going to have, so that deal needs to close prior to June 11 if they are going to have Diablo in Game Pass.
Oh, you're talking about the showcase. I misheard then. Yeah, my bad. I'm thinking you're talking about the release for the game.
There's a few parts in play there, like what you were saying, Riskit. I 100% believe that would be a thing, like, because all these, the beauty of COVID and doing all these shows online is that they record them in pieces in most cases. So there would probably be, like, I've been saying on our show, I reckon there's someone with their hand over that big red button. That big red button says something like Diablo 4 on Game Pass. They're just waiting for that deal to go through so they can push that button. I would be very surprised if that's not the case.
Absolutely.
The deadline, I think, for the deal is June 30. Yeah, they'll be wanting the deal to get done before June, so it can be there day one on Game Pass. Like, I'd be shocked.
Absolutely. There are too many variables, and there are too many massive things that are up in the air at the moment for them not to have two separate showcases and two separate ways to go with this event. There's too many things that fundamentally that this deal will change, that will render their showcase defunct, basically, if it goes one way or the other. So there has to be two separate shows that they've got.
I don't think there'd be two separate shows. But I think there'll be segments recorded. Like they'll have put together a video which is advertising Diablo 4 on Game Pass.
Yeah.
They've probably put together a video as a just in case of the 2023 3 Call of Duty coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, don't forget they
Is
already
that the
do
thing?
have the marketing rights for the game anyway, outside of the whole ABK deal. They have marketing
Yes,
rights for
yes.
Diablo 4, so it's going to be there anyway. But in what capacity, that'll be determined by the deal going through or not.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bunch of little segments they've recorded as a fallback just in case the deal goes through. And if it does, they go bang, 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 splice it all in, throw it all in there, and play the
But
video.
like you guys said before, if this deal does go through before the showcase and before Diablo 4's launch, this Xbox dead narrative, it's going to be turned around so quick, instantly. It is going to be the complete opposite. You're going to see you think the ponies are out in force now, and the haters and the naysayers, you think they're out in force now. You wait until you see the shitstorm that's going to happen then. The whole thing's going to turn
Diablo
around.
4 on Game Pass day one.
Oh,
Yeah,
huge.
but you think
And
that
look-
it's going to turn around the narrative, but I mean, realistically, the narrative's already been turned around. They're still holding on to it. Every narrative that has factually been smashed, they're still using. It's not like they ever let it go. They live in a world that's not in reality.
I know, and that comes back to their IQ level, mate. I'm sorry, but if you're going to cling to that, stupid single digit, But look, I think that the deal is going to pass before then, and I'm going to have Diablo 4 in Game Pass, and it's going to be the biggest Game Pass event in history thus far.
Well, realistically, it all hinges on whether they decide to go over the top of the FTC, and they have said that they will. So regardless of what the FTC decides to do, I think I see Xbox going over the top of the FTC. I think they'll do that. And what I think that they've done...
They already said they would.
They already said they would, exactly. So what I think they've done, and what I would have done personally, is exactly like they did with previous... Their initial show with Xbox and Bethesda. So they had their Xbox segment, and then they had their ABK segment. I don't know if you've noticed, nothing, normally a few months out, so we're probably still normally a few months out by now, we would have had some sort of a leak, or Aaron Greenberg would have come out and said the show's going to be 90 minutes, or the show's going to be 60 minutes, or it's going to be this long. We've normally heard that by now, and we haven't heard anything like that. So that sort of leads me to believe. That sort of leads me to believe that.
We have.
When?
Show's 90 minutes.
No.
And 30 for Starfield after.
Yeah, they've announced it.
Well, they didn't say specifics. They just said
no. They didn't say how much of that time's been allocated to which event. But if you're going to
logically,
base
it makes
the previous
sense.
years,
It'll be 95. But previous year was 95 minutes for the main show.
That's right.
So there'll be 25 minutes for Starfield if that was the case.
Well, it still sort of fits what I'm thinking. Is what I'm thinking is they've got a separate pre-record, and obviously flights booked for the ABK guys if the deal's gone through. Yeah, I honestly didn't hear everyone saying 90 minutes. I didn't hear that it was going to be 90 minutes. I thought that was the last show was 90 minutes. They seem to have this thing with do an hour and a half show.
No, they said 2 hours, didn't they?
Yeah, they said 2 hours. So
they said 2 hours.
The logical thought was 90 minutes and 30. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was 95 for last year's showcase, if you all don't remember. And so my thinking is, if they don't do 90, they'll do 95 again and give 25.
Hold on. Sorry. I've just looked it up. Sorry. So, you know that Twitter account with the Garfield walking cat at Hoxod?
Not too sure.
There's a Twitter account that must have some kind of back-end access to Microsoft stuff. It leaks a lot of stuff. And it leaked, there was a tweet that said, Xbox Game Showcase and Starfield Direct, June 11, 2023, 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. Pacific time. So 2 hours.
Right, so it was a leak.
I think from there, people, like Tom Warren took that tweet and said, so the Xbox Game Showcase and Starfield Direct is going to be around 2 hours total, probably 90 minutes for main show, 30 minutes for Starfield.
Oh, so he took that from that.
Makes the most sense.
I didn't know he took that from that.
We haven't had anything official. I didn't think we had anything official because normally you get something from Greenberg.
No, but everyone took it and ran with it as such.
But you just said there were no leaks, and there was a leak. There was a leak that says it's 2 hours.
Okay, so the leak part was wrong.
2 hours.
Okay, so he told me to exact words. I did a soundboard so I can throw some stuff in there and be womp, 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 womp. Anyway, But officially, we haven't heard anything. So I really
Right.
think normally by now, officially, we have heard something, right? No, just traditionally.
Yeah.
So I think it's a
Yeah,
bit.
but they know they can't pull the trigger on any official news if they
don't
got
know who they're
the
going to have
facts.
there.
It could
right.
change.
They don't.
It
That,
could
yeah,
change.
that's right. Everything's up in the air.
So it sort of makes sense,
mean-
right? So that sort of fits what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they will tack on, maybe it's already 2 hours, and then I think they'll tack on an ABK thing or do it the next day or whatever it is. Yeah.
And they're probably going back to the board with the Starfield event to rework everything at 60 FPS anyway.
yeah.
I'm sure they got somebody working on that right now. But
Well, that's a whole
if
other
it's gonna be
conversation.
60, yeah.
God, I'm really
Yeah.
looking forward to that discussion when
Yeah.
Starfield ends up being 30.
Are you
Yeah.
thinking it's going to be 32, Nick?
Oh, of course it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's why
No,
I'm
I
worried.
say
I'm thinking
no.
it will be.
Mm,
But all this time they've given it, you would think that they're going to try to at least achieve this 60, right? That's what I'm.
well, there's going to be a lot of
the same
money
about
there.
Redfall's year delay.
Riskit's going to be on his receipt game that day because there was a lot of people that came at me about this is a misstep from Xbox, and it's like, well, delays will fix the game. Do you want it to be at 30? Don't you want a 60 mode?
Oh boy.
They'd be like, oh
Ooh,
boy.
I've seen that.
Risk it. Leave me out of it, risk it.
But yeah, I mean,
Probably first on this list.
delays obviously don't ensure that the game's going to be in a good state, but it certainly helps. There's no
Yeah.
denying that.
Yeah.
I mean, when
hope
look
that
at
it's
Dead Island
60,
too.
because if they hit only 30 with that, I don't think that's going to look good. Especially after
You ready for
2
it?
year, another second delay is like that, and you don't get the 60 frames performance mode at the very least. I don't know, man.
I hope
Dude,
it's got a
Redfall
mode,
just got a
but I-
12-month
I
delay,
wouldn't
and they-
hold my breath for it.
Yeah.
Mm. If
After
it's 30,
after
it
what I
won't-
saw with Redfall, it took all the air out of the sails.
Yeah.
Like I was like,
Me
that
too.
looks like 30 frames per second. It is. Then that's exactly when my thought went.
Sorry,
to.
bro, but if it's 30 frames, it won't be looking like anything for me. So
Yeah.
I've got too many good games that are enjoyable to play, that perform beautifully, without having to go back to the old days of 30 FPS. I don't have to do that when I've got all these beautiful games and a massive backlog of games that perform at 60 and 120 and are amazing to play. You know, I'm just not going to play you with your 30 FPS.
I'm going to call. We'll probably go to outros because it's been a bit of a long show. But Mark in the chat, just ignore Bobby. He's a diehard pony. We still love him. In a love-hate sort of fashion. He's a good guy. He just does it to wind you up. So don't get wound up by Bobby. Much love, Bobby. We know you play on Xbox more than you play anywhere else because we know that PlayStation just doesn't have any games right now.
That's right.
Look, it's been an absolutely fantastic show. I do have to finish it up because this is my lunch break and it is running over, so I'm going to have to make up that time at the end of the day, and I don't want to do that, but I'm going to have to do it. Nick,
Scott, I'll give you a tip though, how to get out
Still
of
got topics though.
anything at
we got
work.
heaps of topics. I know
If
that.
if you call your boss and say, "Hey boss, I'm sorry. Look, I've crapped my pants." They can't say anything.
Yeah.
Well, he'll
I've
probably
shit myself.
lose a lot of favor though. That might
Yeah.
hurt him.
Yeah, but
And-
they can't argue with that.
And
Here comes
self-respect.
Captain Shit Pants right here. You finished over there, are you?
Yeah, he's not American. Why do you sound like that?
In my
Some kind
beard.
of Australian accent.
You know my accent sounded authentic. What you think, Nick? I thought it was pretty good. I don't know.
It's definitely not
That's
good.
some kind of Australian accent. That's something.
It doesn't sound like it's Australian. But look,
You
anyway.
wait till you hear his Doom Kitty accent.
Oh God, don't
I
do
know,
it.
right? I'm not going to do it this time. I'll leave
Yeah.
her alone.
She's listening right now. She's just waiting. Yeah, look, Nick, it was absolutely fantastic to have you come on, man. It's been a back and forth to actually get you here, but we're glad we finally got you on. Love your takes, man. Love the show, Xbox Era. If you want to find Nick, and you haven't already, which I'm sure most of you have in the chat, but if you do want to find Nick, his links are down in the description. Just head there, click on those. It'll take you directly to where Nick is. Check out the podcast, Xbox Era. And the site, they actually have a site where they do reviews, news, and it's one of the ones that we use here at Xbox Infinite as well. So head there and check that out. And his Twitter's always popping off about something, so that's always interesting to keep an eye on as well. Let people know where they can find you, what you'd be up to, what you'd be playing, what you got planned for the future.
Yeah, like Riskit said, it's very easy. Just go to xboxera.com. Everything is there. My Twitter is at Shpeshal_Nick. And that's where you'll find everything. So go check us out. Lots of reviews coming. I've got the podcast tomorrow morning. a lot earlier than this one. I appreciate the time that this one started at. Our podcast tomorrow morning starts at 8 a.m. my time, which is unfortunate. But it is what it is. I lose my Sunday mornings. But yeah, just go to xboxera.com and you can check literally everything out there. Very, very simple.
Absolutely. And again, that is
For having
down.
me on.
Oh, good. Oh, good. But thank you for coming on. And as I said, those descriptions, those links are down in the description. So head down there and click on those. It'll take you straight to them. And you can find any one of our amazing panelists there today, as well as Doom Cutie. She put a link tree in the chat. I need to get a link tree. It makes things easy, but I don't know. I don't like trees. Garuda, man, thank you for coming on today. I know you're not feeling the greatest and jumping in, filling in for Jedi, who's had a bit of a family emergency. Just let everyone know where they can find you, what you'd be up to, what your plans are for the future.
Yeah, no, the pleasure's all mine. You know, I love the show, and I'll come on anytime you ask me to come on. And yeah, we miss Jedi, and I hope everything improves for him very soon. Yeah, I'm just Garuda Intruder on Twitter. I haven't got any content at the moment, but that's all a work in progress at the moment. I've got a few ideas, as I've mentioned, but yeah, again, man, just thanks for having me. I just really love being on and talking games with like-minded people. You know, I love this stuff. And Nick, it was lovely to meet you, mate. I listen to your show every
too.
Sunday. Yeah, I listen to your
good.
show every
Thanks.
Sunday, mate. And yeah, it's good stuff. Always hit the like button there. And yeah, I'm going to be playing Grounded like I always do. I'm at 11 days playtime on that now. I still haven't finished it. I'm playing the Vampire Survivors DLC, another game that I'm addicted to. That is just video game crack.
Jesus,
else am I
buy
doing? I'm
a
gonna
game,
watch-
will you?
No, well, I did. I bought the DLC. It costed me $2 whole. Okay. Yeah.
Expender right here.
Yeah. Hey, I bought two $2 DLCs. Okay, come on. And hey, look, man, I love that game. I'm gonna watch Return of the King, the extended cut. I've never watched that extended cut of that one before, and I'm gonna hopefully try and get a little bit better. I apologize to everyone for how I sound today, but yeah, this is about the best I've felt in about 5 days. So again, thanks for having me, and yeah, again, Nick, it was nice to meet you, mate.
Yeah,
No worries, you too, mate.
absolutely. Bobby Hawk in the chat. You are a son of a bitch. He says, look forward to everybody playing some Redfall. Lol. Hate you, mate. With a passion. Infinite Umbra, another fantastic show, mate. Thanks for coming on every week, giving us your takes. And your show's looking like it's going to be extremely successful. So I love watching that. I especially like the first half of your first show because no one was talking. So... no, look, please let the people know where they can find you for your. That actually was our first show. The Infinite was our first guest and ended up being a panel member. And the entire show was shut down after about 5 minutes because I had exactly the same issue, and we had to get him to come back next week, and then he stayed.
Oh, me? I jumped in. I wasn't a guest. I jumped in immediately. But anyway, regardless of that, you all can find me as under Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite on Twitter. And yeah, my show, The Fix, now is live. And every week it seems like I'm trying to improve one thing or another. This past show right here, the second episode, I actually started the stream before I meant to go live with us talking and everything, because I was trying to change something in the background on one of the the background panels, and then I noticed the switch. I'm like, wait a minute, are they seeing this? I was like, oops. Hey everybody.
That's a mistake that a lot of streamers have made, and at least you weren't in a compromising position, because there's been some interesting content released online due to people hitting that go button when they didn't mean to, or leaving it on. But yeah, anyway, sorry.
They probably would have heard me like, damn Bushido, okay? I don't care if he's there or not. Oh, hey, everybody. No, but no, but yeah, man, you guys can find me, like I said, look for The Fix, look for me here on YouTube, and you can find The Fix. And if you are so inclined, give a brother a subscription, follow, whatever you want to call it. Nick, man, thanks for joining us, brother, and Garuda for you filling in for Pete. Pete, we missed you, brother.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and Nick, I've actually seen you for a while, man. When I joined briefly with Reset Era years back. I believe you were on there, and this is before you guys moved on to make Xbox Era, and I joined that as well. I am a member of Xbox Era. I just don't ever go on it nowadays because I'm on Twitter all the time. But man,
no, I see you in the chat. I see you in our chat most weeks.
Yeah, I'll jump in, and make sure to say hello and show you guys love and everything like that. I have been following you guys, even Cloverreal, just from the reset era to where you all are at now. So I'm happy to
Yeah.
see you guys' growth and everything like that, and to for
Thanks.
you to become this elevated insider that you are
Oh
now, Nick.
God, no, it's really,
Yeah.
yeah.
When you got Phil Spencer on, man, I was like, oh, you made it, Nick. You
Oh
guys
yeah,
made it.
I was there for that too. I was happy to see you
Yeah.
guys get that. And if I get
Yeah,
him
I,
over here on mine, I'm gonna make an ass of myself. I can guarantee you that.
I'm going to ask him if he thinks he
Yeah.
should be fired. Next time I see him on a.
Yeah. 'Cause, I'm sure we can ask a question like that to him when we have him on.
Yeah.
I love Phil because without him, I'd have to buy games.
That's right. That's right.
He probably got upset when he heard that. But Garuda Intruder's thoughts are not that of the Xbox Infinite podcast. Anyway,
Yeah,
no,
man.
seriously. No, thank you guys in the chat and everything for all the love too. Man, you guys make it really dope. Even you, Bobby Hawk. Yeah, you kind of a pony, I know, but much love to you, brother. And
He's
we'll
alright.
see you guys next week.
Absolutely,
Don't
man. And everyone in the chat, you guys are absolutely amazing and supporting us every week. We really appreciate you guys all coming through. Thank you very, very much. It's been an awesome show. I'm probably going to get back to, I think, a little bit of Minecraft until Jedi Survivor drops, and I'll be playing that. And you won't hear from me. I will be in that game until I complete it. And apparently it's huge, so I'm looking forward to it. And that's the show for the week.
Damn, I thought you said Vampire Survivors. Oh.
No, I buy games. We'll see you all next week. Thank you guys for coming through. And yeah, that's the end of the thing. I'm going to...
Hey, wait a minute. What's this on the screen here?
Seafood.
No.
Seafood.
Bushido's comment.
See you guys.
Ciao for now.